Yo, what's going on, people? Recipe is live, back again. Myself and Grapsody Phil Lindsay here today. It's Friday, it's Forbidden Door week, and that's going to be a big part of what we're talking about today, to be honest. A few things to discuss. What we got how productive is AEW and New Japan's current relationship in 2025? What are the benefits of it? What are the downsides of it? Is it even worth continuing? I think probably so. We're going to talk about it though. Will WWE's efforts at counter-programming AEW actually mean anything? Because obviously that's been quite a big conversation with WWE announcing WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza, which is apparently going to go head-to-head with AEW All Out, and it's going to be the most likely destination for John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. And also with AEW's recent injury crisis, because I do think I think with the way the injuries have been spaced out, it doesn't feel that much like a crisis right now. But if you actually look at the list, like there is a lot of big players missing right now. We were just talking about before we went live. But yeah, we're going to talk about who should AEW be leaning on right now with all these injuries going on. But yeah, first things first, please get your super chats in, help support the channel, and of course gets you guys involved in the conversation. But yeah, man, what's going on, Phil? Talk to me. You excited for Forbidden Door this weekend?
Yeah, the card actually looks pretty good, despite some of the discourse. I think that the card is actually pretty good. They've got some pretty big matches on it.
Yeah, it's a good card. I think I've said this before, but it's a good, when you just look at the card, it's a good card. But when it's Forbidden Door, and you think of like what you want the spirit of Forbidden Door to be, the collaboration, all that, and when you look at the build that they've done, it's kind of like you are kind of left wanting a bit more. But at the end of the day, when you look at the card, it's a strong card, and the show is going to be a strong show.
Yeah.
Just not loads of representation. But the chat's letting me know that we are currently going head to head with Mercedes Moné against on the Rev Pro show.
Oh.
That wasn't intentional, I just don't keep up to date too much with Rev Pro. I don't think anybody's too surprised by that, but even the Mercedes matches, who's she, Emerson Jane or something like that. So I'm not tapped in with the UK indie scene, so you can't even ask me who she is or if she's any good or anything like that. That's a Charlie question, That's a that's definitely more of a Charlie question, I've never seen this. I'm sure she's great, Mercedes wouldn't just wrestle anybody, I don't think, She wants a pick of the best when she goes over to like Rev Pro or Mexico or Poland or wherever else she goes. She'll go anywhere and win a title, bro. She's she's defending the Rev Pro title at the moment as we speak. Apparently, I didn't know, people. I would never try and counter program Mercedes Moné.
She just jumped off a live. She was just on live with Bailey.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, well, one of our guys got that. Shout out Carlos getting that. But yeah, man, we're mainly gonna be talking about Forbidden Door. Of course, that is like the big thing going on this weekend. The reason why Mercedes is in UK at the moment in the first place. So yeah, Forbidden Door. Like I said, kind of a lot of talk around the build, and I guess the lack of emphasis on the Forbidden Door part of things, and also just kind of like the timing of everything. That's of course a very obvious conversation I think to have with like the G1 Climax is literally like just finished. So a lot of their main guys haven't been able to just simply be available to be coming over to build up storylines and stuff for Forbidden Door, etc., etc., etc. And on top of that, you've got the Stardom 5-star is currently still ongoing.
Yeah.
So it's like it's that I think the timing of Forbidden Door just isn't. It's not the most ideal, you know. I think obviously it's something definitely worth Tony and whoever else, New Japan, um, you know, Okada, um, Rocky, whoever else is going to be involved in making a sort of decision like that when it comes to scheduling Forbidden Door. I think they should probably look into that, especially after this year, you know, and especially in 2025 when New Japan, of course, this has been a big part of the conversation as well. New Japan isn't the company it once was a few years ago when I guess AEW and New Japan were first getting friendly. You know, the start of AEW even going that far. It's a very different company now. They've lost a few of their big players. Some of them are in AEW, you know,
Yeah.
and that's not a slight on AEW or anything. AEW's been perfectly within their right to try and sign these people when they became free agents, you know. Um, but yeah, man, it's like the first one was obviously Kenny. That was the big one, you know, because obviously a lot of people remember around the conversation when AEW was first getting started and the press conferences and stuff. There was like, you know, even though I think a lot of us figured it out pretty early on, but there was a conversation of like, what's Kenny gonna do? You know, is he gonna stay in? Is he gonna just resign in New Japan? Maybe even go to WWE, or is he just gonna do kind of the obvious, which he ended up doing, and he was all elite, you know. But that was there was a few people who did think he was just gonna stay with New Japan because I don't know. It's I guess they thought he would still get kind of like his artistic kick out of the business, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
He gave up a lot initially to make that jump. He was going to be continue his IWGP World Title reign. He was probably going to main event the Madison Square Garden show against Okada. I mean, in a different world, that match happens in the U.S. for the first time on a Ring of Honor show and not an AEW show. If he would have stayed put, um, a lot of things would have been different. That completely changed Jay White's push coming into that year.
oh shit, yeah,
Um, Jay
definitely.
White wouldn't have gotten the run that he got, and he wouldn't have main evented that show. A lot changed. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think part of the issue here is that uh, 4 years ago, the whole concept of Forbidden Door was still fresh. It was still a completely new concept. We weren't seeing nearly as many co-promotional events as we do now. We see
Oh
so
yeah.
much. We see so many cross-promotional shows, and on top of that, we see so many New Japan guys just showing up in the U.S. and showing up on AEW. I mean, Gabe has been on AEW TV multiple times this year. And so the whole novelty of seeing New Japan guys cross over one time a year isn't what it was. And then on top of that, like you said, New Japan lost its top guy, and he happened to go to AEW. Being able to book an Okada match once a year for AEW was a big get. And now that's not a thing because now you have Okada all year round. And I mean, if you just think about Swerve versus Okada, if Okada wasn't signed, that's a different match. And the excitement around that match is different because we don't get to see Okada year round. And so I think that's part of it. Like you said, the timing of it hasn't helped. Right in the middle of the G1, Tony talked about that on the call yesterday. Um, I don't understand why Tony didn't use some of the other guys that are not in the G1 though. Like you've got guys like Hiromu that didn't take part in the G1. You could have used him sooner. You've got other junior
Yeah.
heavyweights that you could have used, like El Desperado. You could have done other things. I don't understand why he didn't start building to those guys sooner. Um, yeah, and usually Forbidden Door is in June. It's usually towards the beginning of the summer. I assume part of the reason it was moved is because they had to move around their schedule with All In general. So that's part of it. But it's just I think the biggest issue here is the concept of New Japan crossing over with AEW just isn't as fresh as it was.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
And I
It's
think
yeah.
and I mean we're to the point where even WWE is doing cross promotional shows, and so it's not as fresh of an idea. It's not as a novel of an idea as it was before. And then on top of that, you're gonna have people. I saw a lot of this on the timeline. People going, "Well, New Japan sucks now," which isn't entirely true. It's not. I don't think New Japan has been ran particularly well for the past year or so, and I think that's part of the reason why some people are jumping ship.
You're a lot
But
more tapped in than me,
but I
because
do
I've tapped out, bro, on on New Japan.
but I do think for the most part, New Japan has had good shows this year. The only New Japan show that I really was like, oh, that wasn't it, was Dominion, and I think that was mostly because of poor booking decisions. And it was the same for the G1. I don't think the G1 was bad. I think as an in ring product, it was pretty good. It was just booking decisions, like some things like Evil beating Tanahashi, even though Tanahashi just beat him at the Dome earlier this year. I don't know why Evil needed to get his win back. And Tanahashi's last G1 match of all times. That was a weird booking choice. Having Evil in the finals was a choice as well. The execution to get him into the finals was also strange. And I think that's more
They
of
did
the
like a
issue.
ref. What did they do? What did they do to get him in the final? Because I seen it on Cage Match and it was just like a ref. And I remember on the weekend that it happened, seeing everybody kind of just going crazy about it. But
It did a
I
ref
was at that
stoppage.
point. Yeah, I seen it was a ref. But what? How did they do the ref
So
stoppage?
they did the usual House of Torture shenanigan stuff with
Okay.
a ton of run-ins. And Fale did his big power bomb like razor's edge move that he does. And he did that to Suji coming off of the top rope and he slammed him down pretty hard. And then uh Evil put in his version of the Scorpion Deathlock. And the ref stopped it because it looked like Suji was knocked out. Now, I immediately looked at it and I was like, okay, the way he was rolled out the ring, because he had to be helped out of the ring as if he was really knocked out, I was like, this looks like a work. And I saw people going, well, is Suji really hurt? Is he okay? They had to give Evil the win because Suji actually got his bell ring and the ref had to make the call in the ring. No, this very much looked like a work, guys. And I mean, the fact that he wrestled the very next day, I was like, yeah, I don't think they would let a guy that got knocked out of the ring and potentially have a concussion get right back in the ring, even if they were clearing him to wrestle. I don't think they would just let him get right back out there.
Yeah, I doubt that very much. But I remember seeing some of that conversation as well. People kind of being a little bit worried, that not genuinely worried about it, And all the signs were there for it to be a work, like
Yeah.
even like the follow up tweets.
Yes, it
Um,
feels like a way to protect Suji for now, and based on the fact that Takeshita is talking about challenging Zack before the Dome, it feels like a way to
yeah,
protect Suji for a match at Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe if Takeshita wins, then Suji will be the first one to call him out.
yeah, yeah. Suji's I know that the roster's not the same as what it was in New Japan, and I'm not exactly super tapped in. Like, of course, I see bits and pieces, so like everybody does. But I think the one is Suji
Mm-hmm.
out of what they've got going at the moment. Obviously, I think in an ideal world, if you was New Japan, you would have got your hands on Takeshita before AEW and just locked him in, you know.
Yeah.
But that I think that would have been like the actual dream scenario. But of course, that didn't play out. They've still got Takeshita. He just won the G1. Do you know what I mean? He's on like a split contract. So, but obviously that comes with
Yeah.
you can't make
Controversy.
him you can't make him the next Okada because he's not fully New Japan, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like even just winning the G1, as you just touched on, like controversy. Some people do not like it. In that final, I
Mm-hmm.
was reading the newsletter earlier. Apparently, the crowd was split, and
Very.
it's like that's crazy, bro. Evil.
Evil was getting scared.
It's
And I mean, fair play to Evil. Evil put on his best match that I've ever seen him put on as a singles wrestler. He was great. The finals was really good. Again, as an in-ring product, the G1 was fantastic. It was just some weird booking decisions that I just didn't understand. The younger guys that they're trying to build up, they were on full display. Shota, ever divisive Shota Umino. I thought he wrestled pretty well for the most part. Probably a low bar considering how disappointing his G1 run was last year, but I thought he had a better G run this year. Um, I thought Yuya was incredible. I thought he looked exceptional throughout. Oya was going to be a guy that they can build upon going forward. Um, Yeah, they've got the stars that they can start building up. Oleg is another guy that they could start building up. They've got something in him. Drilla Maloney was fantastic as well in this G1 debut.
People
But,
like him.
but the issue here is you've gotta decide when you're gonna actually pull the trigger on one of these guys. Because I think that's the other issue with Takeshita making it all the way to the finals and winning. We're almost 2 years in, probably about 2 years in at this point, since you declared this era's version of the Three Musketeers, and you haven't given any of these guys.
Official announcement. Everything,
Yeah,
bro.
you've put all this pressure on these guys back. You've officially named these guys the Three Musketeers, and you haven't really given them the big win yet to justify it. And I think the guy that's the most ready is Suji. Coming out of the semifinals, I was like, man, maybe it's his time because that was a big win, and the crowd was very much behind him. And maybe they understood that night after that match, like, oh, we cannot put him in the finals with Takeshita because Takeshita's going to get booed because the crowd is going to want Suji to win. But my counterpoint to that then would be, why not just give Suji the win?
Especially if he's like you said, like it does. I remember seeing like Takeshita's probably going to be challenging before the dome. It's like, well, Suji's going to be the dome match then, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like, why,
it seems like it.
why go through this? And I'm not mad at Takeshita winning. I actually think it's pretty cool. Like I actually do think Takeshita's like I was just kind of alluding to then, it's like in another world, Takeshita would be like the new, you know what I mean? Like in the Okada position, like just running it over there.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with Takeshita winning either. I actually picked Takeshita to win at the beginning of the tournament. He was my initial pick to win the entire thing. And I second guessed myself after the semifinals. I was like, man, might be Suji's time, man. It might be time. Just give him the win. And so by surprise, getting up the next morning and watching an Evil One, I was like, but why? Why? I mean, there's other things that happened here. Losing Naito this year, losing Goto was big. I mean, Goto was one of the big pleasant surprises of 2025 for them.
100%. Yeah.
Putting the belt on him turned out to be a fan favorite, and he did great business for him. People were actually showing up, and he ended up turning out to be a draw for them as champion. And I just don't think that they've managed to recover well from him getting injured. Zach, as great as he is, I think he was exceptional in the G1, but he hasn't proven to really be a draw for them. And I think, yeah, you lost two of your biggest draws. You lost Okada and Naito. Those are big stars.
Huge stars, man. Everyone, like we said at the start, like going all the way back, it's like it was Kenny, then it was Okada, and then you've lost like Ospreay and Jay White although they weren't the top guy of the company the same way that like Okada and Naito have been over the years, and even like Kenny for that brief period, they're big players to lose, because it's like that's your whole. What I've just named is like the core of like your main event scene,
and you're losing Tanahashi at the beginning of next year. By the end of this year, Tanahashi is going to be done.
At least that's more just kind of, just him. He can't run anymore, He's
Well, I mean, I just mean just like the collective of the stars that they have lost. I mean, losing Tanahashi, Naito, and Okada around the same time is massive.
You got Ibushi as well. I know that was a very weird situation. It wasn't like he just signed. Yeah, it wasn't like he just signed for AEW, kind of like an Okada or somebody like that. But of course, like when you think of how big of a player he was in that company, it's like
back-to-back G1 winner.
Yeah, it's another huge loss, bro. Unified the titles.
Yeah,
he was, and he was never supposed to be the chosen one. Like that. And he overcame all those weird like political hurdles in Japan of like, well, he's not a New Japan
he's
dojo,
freelancer.
blah, blah, blah. And he did it, bro. Yeah. He got there, and then, stuff happened. Things happen.
Very strange situation, man.
Shibata as well. Someone just mentioned in the chat, Shibata.
Shibata.
Ayoshi Ibushi was doing his hashtag thing. He's been doing a lot of hashtag things, bro. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, even when you think of like the build to this Forbidden Door, if Goto was still there, that changes
Helps a
a lot
lot.
of this build because um, Goto had already been saying that he wanted a match with Osprey. That would have immediately given you a big IWGP title match for the show. But then you've got Shibata there as well, who Goto has also been talking about wanting to wrestle. You could have easily done Goto versus Shibata on this card. You had other options, and that's why it's a collective of things. It's New Japan being where it is, injuries in both companies being where they are. I mean, you're coming out of the G1, which is one of the most grueling tournaments in wrestling, and we immediately saw that on Wednesday with Tanahashi running down. I was like, oh, he does. He looked. He did not
Tell
look
him be
like this
doing
a few
his
months
thing,
ago.
man. He be trying his best, and we gotta respect it, man. I was when his music hit, I was like, oh, bro, this how crazy it is now. Like, and God bless, he's retiring and shit now. But it's like as soon as his music hit, I was like, what's this wrong gonna be looking like? Like straight away, and obviously he kind of like he walked down and just ran like the last like 4 yards, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, those I bet he's in agony, bro. You know, he's
I mean, he wrestled the whole G1. I don't think most of us expected him to take part in the G1 in his final year. And man, listen, he had a great run in the G1. He didn't win a lot of matches, but he had great matches with the people he was supposed to. He put over the guys that he was supposed to, including Evil for some reason. But, but also he's got ties to Evil because he was one of his initial mentors. So it makes sense that he would want to give him a win on the way out. I probably wouldn't have done that as Booker, but you know.
you know. You've got who else we got? The roster's severely hit, you know, and there's the creative like head scratching that's been going on, I guess, quite a lot. Especially the G1 semi-finals, it almost hit like a boiling point, you know. When I remember, like I said, I wasn't tapped into the G1 this year, but when I came onto the timeline that day, you would have thought something like something insane did happen, and it even went to the G1 final in 2025. So that happened, you know. We're getting CEO spam in the chat, man. You know, like come on, bro. You know, I already know. I already know the house is gonna be down on this one. I didn't know I was counter programming Mercedes. I actually thought. I don't know what I thought. I didn't actually think it was today, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was you know, Rev Pro Saturday night. I don't know. Because Saturday night anyway, don't matter. Don't matter. It's what we're doing. You know, we've locked in now. We're in too deep.
Already in.
Where was we? Yeah, creative. You know, creative head scratching going on in New Japan recently. The roster's depleted, as we've also touched on. So with New Japan being in that position creatively and just straight from the straight up roster standpoint, and them kind of being gun shy, and also, so we say that they haven't kind of give the quote Three Musketeers anything, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, what can they give them? Because it's not like they can. It's not like they can go, oh, you can beat Okada, or you can beat, you know, Naito definitively or whatever, because they already missed that. They missed that chance, and that's a huge part of this. I think is that like when they
Yeah.
had Okada, they didn't have him just straight up like fully put somebody over, and same with Naito, really. You know, it's like, why not? And now you can't. Like,
Yeah.
I think Ibu alluded to a lot of what we've spoke about, and kind of just the idea of like, what can they really do besides kind of like begging Tony for like an Okada or an Osprey or somebody like that to come in and do kind of like an outsiders fuck New Japan run, and have like Suji be the one to topple them and solidify himself as like their real top next guy, you know. That's like,
Yeah.
what can they really do? Okay, like let's say Suji beats Zach or whoever at the Dome, you know, it's like, cool, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they've got to pick the guy out of the three of those guys that's ready now. And the guy that's the most ready out of the three of them is Yota Tsuji. I think that's been apparent for a year now. And that's why I'm so confused as to why they didn't go full forward with him. I mean, they gave him a New Japan Cup win, and then he lost his title match. And so I thought maybe they would get back to it and give him the big win eventually, and they haven't. Shota is still very divisive with the fans, and he's kind of in the
That
he's
label fucked him up, bro.
yeah he's kind of
They
he's
called him
kind
a
of
musketeer and he crumbled.
yeah he's kind of in the Roman slash John Cena spot where the second the fans know that you're trying to push a guy and make him the number one guy, they're going to reject him. And so it doesn't matter what this guy does now. Some fans are not going to want it. He could go out there and go on a run of a lifetime, and people would just be like, "Nah, bruh, they're over pushing him." It doesn't help that he hasn't quite figured it out as a character or a wrestler. I think the wrestling was better this time around this year. They put him in deep water, gave him that main event at the Dome, and people did not like it, which did not help him either. I thought he didn't have a great match with Goto at Windy City Riot either, but I think all of those things are magnified by the fact that people just don't think this guy is ready for the push he's getting.
Yeah, definitely kind of just like a resentment thing, you know.
Yeah.
But of course there is, of course, like the performance side of it, kind of the character side of it, all the things that you've touched on as well. He's in a really weird spot, Showa is, you know. Like I said, when when he ever since he was being called a musketeer, he's like I said, it's kind of all fell apart for him. You know, it seems like there's been glimpses of him. Maybe he's gonna climb back up to where you want him to be. You know, but I'm still waiting to be told by a friend that that's happened. You know.
Yeah. I mean, he had matches I really enjoyed in the G1. I think he had an inspired run. It just it's still not quite there. He still doesn't feel quite like up to the level that they're pushing him at. And then Ren is just there. It's like Ren is still doing a House of Torture stuff, which I don't understand. It's a mess.
Talk about Ren Narita, bro.
You know? Yeah, but I mean, you've got other guys other than Oya was going to be ready. Yuya versus Oya was one of the best matches of the tournament. You've got two guys and those guys that are going to be ready sooner than you think. I think Yuya is going to be a guy that they're going to be able to push very soon. But yeah, it's going to take a minute to build these guys up in the stars, man. It's gonna take a minute to build equity around these guys for people to care. And that's not going to happen overnight. I think the other issue with the partnership is that I don't want to say it's too friendly. It's just like, hey, yeah, you take this wrestler for a little bit. I'll put the belt on Mox for a little bit here to catch the energy one. I think they've got to build some actual storylines around these guys showing up. I don't want to be the where's the story guy here, but I think that's part of what's missing with Forbidden Door now because we've gotten these Forbidden Door matches and we've gotten the special attraction / dream matches for a while now. I think you've got to get some kind of adversarial relationship here with New Japan wrestlers and AEW wrestlers to set up storylines. And I thought that's where they were going with Gabe Kidd, but now Gabe is like basically
he's Death Rider, bro.
Death Rider adjacent. And part of this is injuries as well because if Jay White was there, I'm pretty sure we would have gotten War Dogs versus Bang Bang Gang at this point. But yeah, not having Jay White harms you. So
why is AO spamming CEO in the chat? Has she just won? Is that what's just happened? Because I know as we went live, I seen a good brother Danny tweeting about like her gear and shit. So I know that was like as she was walking out. So I'm assuming she's just successfully 9 belts, man. Yeah, she's done something.
Yeah, she's won. Add another belt to the.
I didn't mean to clash with her, man.
Add another belt. 9 belts.
This was not my vision, bro. You know, man said 9 belts, pussy holes. Listen, shout out Mercedes, man. She wins belts, and these companies are very happily putting these belts on her, and just to kind of park it on the Mercedes thing for a minute. It's like it's the same conversation that you see kind of ever since she's been on like this belt collector run, you know, where it's just these promotions definitely get something out of Mercedes having their belt in it, and it's not a thing where it's like, oh, she shows the belt off on Dynamite and stuff. It's like, no, Mercedes has shown willingness time and time again to go to US, to go to Europe, to go wherever she needs to go, and show up in these promotions and defend these belts. And as his name, Andy Quilden from Rev Pro has said, she does great business. She's got a great attitude. All these positive things that he says about her. I know I was joking earlier, but like, it was Poland, wasn't it, where she just randomly won a belt?
Yeah.
And it's like she's gonna go back to Poland to drop that belt, and what the promotion decides to do with that opportunity is obviously on the promoter more than Mercedes, I think, you know. But any half decent promoter would make a at least local star out of that opportunity, you know. So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's Poland, Hungary, Spain, Italy, Greece, US, Mexico, anywhere, Asia, you know, Africa. It doesn't matter, bro. You know, if these promoters are happy to get these Mercedes Moné dates in, and she's gonna continue to show this willingness to go to these countries and wrestle whoever and wherever, then it's good for the game.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It's good. Bro, that Polish promotion, I didn't know they had wrestling promotions in Poland. You know, like that. Like, I'm being like, obviously they did. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, you think about it for 2 seconds. Of course they did. I ain't never heard of no Polish wrestling promotion, bro. Until Mercedes Moné went over there.
Yeah.
So
it's adding exposure to that brand, the Vienna wrestling promotion she wouldn't wrestle for. Yeah, that's giving promotion to these companies that people didn't know about.
yeah, it's like someone said in the chat, what is the end game? Of course, I've just kind of alluded to it. It's like every bout she's won, she's going to have to drop, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously the kind of, I guess, the most logical way you can think, the way you kind of have to assume is that she's going to go to these promotions one by one and drop the bouts. And how they decide to tell that story is, of course, a completely different ballgame. She might drop one soon and not drop another one for 6 months. She might drop them all. Like, she might just completely like collapse and do a storyline like that, where she loses the TBS title to Willow or somebody, you know, and then she just completely collapses after that and drops all the belts to whoever she wrestles next, you know. So it just depends on how they tell the story. But the end game is giving all these opportunities to all these different promoters, you know. And of course, Mercedes herself being a draw, blah blah blah, being a star, you just want, you know what I mean, if somebody like that is willing to get around the way that she's willing to get around the wrestling world in 2025, then you kind of just gotta let her do it, bro, you know. Of course, a lot of these promoters will probably fuck it up in their own unique ways, you know, because that's the business, you know. So
Of course,
you know. But yeah, shout out Mercedes, 9 bouts Moné. I don't know if anyone can say in the chat what's the actual bout that she just won, because I'm sure she didn't she already have a Rev Pro bout, or am I imagining that?
2 Rev Pro belts.
So yeah, if anyone can name drop the actual bout that Mercedes has just won, that would be nice, you know. But it's another one, bro, you know. It's like when she goes back to Rev Pro, she might drop all these Rev Pro belts to the same woman and just completely make the next.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, Alex Windsor's in AEW now. Do you know what I mean? But you know, somebody of I don't know. Like I said, I do not keep up with Rev Pro, bro. Shoot me, you know.
Yeah.
I should support my local indie. You know, I feel guilty about it deep in my chest, but you know, Brit Indies don't have the greatest reputation, so I've been scarred. I've been scarred, Phil. You know, like
ran by a black man too. Come on.
You know what I'm saying? I've been scarred over the years, bro. You know, I've got trauma when it comes to the pre-indies, but I'm going to be back.
It's a British wrestling company ran by a black man, and you're not supporting it.
I will, bro. I will. I'm going to lock in. I'm going to lock in, man. I'm going to lock in. See, Mercedes gets out of the ring, and we've crossed over 100 viewers now, so that's something. You know, still a little low for us, but you know, we power through these things, Phil. Okay, where was we? We were talking about the product. So, with all the things we spoke about with Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the creative, the roster, the lack of pulling the trigger when it feels like timing of things, blah 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 blah, all these different things. In 2025, is it still productive on both sides to have this relationship, or is it just like even this Forbidden Door, bro? You know, it's like how many New Japan wrestlers, Bushi Road wrestlers, are actually on it? You know, we've got Tanner and Gabe in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Zack's defending against Nigel.
Yeah. Strong match.
Bozilla's in the 4-way.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of like I love Bozilla, bro, and I think the fact that like her on an AEW pay-per-view pops the fuck out of me. But I guess from like a Bushi Road New Japan Stardom point of view, it's kind of like she's newish compared to like sending over like a real like Stardom flag waver, you know,
Yeah.
like a I don't know, like a Starlight Kid, or
Yeah. I mean, but Stardom's gonna.
Azumi's in Azumi. Jamie just told me, so shout out Jamie. Jamie just told me that Azumi's actually in the 5-star semi-final, so she couldn't have been in it.
Right.
You know,
But, I mean, you've got you're in a tricky position too with Stardom as well, because Stardom also lost Mayu, and then they've lost Tam. And they've lost, some of their bigger stars as well. And then,
Mike is injured as well.
Yeah, and like you said, you've got the 5-star going on now, so you can't even use like Sari, I believe, is still in the tournament. Zumi is still in the tournament. I think that's one of the biggest failings so far is not having the IWGP Women's Title defended on a Forbidden Door yet.
Yeah, that's like, what's the point of it?
Yeah,
Wasn't that the point? I thought that was the point.
Well,
like,
it seemed like initially the point.
Like,
it seemed like initially the point, and then they established the women's strong belt. So it was like, well, wait a minute. I thought the whole point of this IWGP belt was to bridge between Japan and the US, and then they just established another belt that would be defended in the US all the time. So it's kind of overlap. But I still think it would be nice at this point to at least see the IWGP women's title defended at least once on a Forbidden Door card.
But it's not, you know?
Yeah.
And as I just mentioned, there is a few, I guess, more obvious names that I guess were available that are just not in this. So there's like Saya, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Starlight Kid, Suzu Suzuki, Mike is obviously injured, Azumi's in the 5-star. But man.
Yeah.
Just Bozilla, who was with Marigold at like the start of the year, you know?
Yeah.
So
and Bozilla's great. I think that's
she's awesome, bro. I think she's amazing. Like, I'm happy she's on the show. I just think it's kind of a little bit weird from a Bushi Road point of view that she's the only Stardom rep on the show, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're immediately rushing into the Athena match, which kind of tells me that Athena's losing. And I feel like you could have put a woman from Stardom in that spot instead and given Tony a title defense before the Athena match. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I could have easily done that. There's a rumor as well that Mercedes was really like into the idea of wrestling Suzuki, but Stardom was like, nah. So I don't know the validity of that. But,
yeah, and then Shuri just showed up at All in Texas. They aired an entire video package for her at Ring of Honor. Then they aired it again the next day ahead of All in Texas. And I thought, all right, well, cool. She'll be here, and that'll be in the lead-in to Forbidden Door. And she hasn't been back yet, which I don't know.
Well, yeah, man. Shout out Bozilla, though. Look, it's a great opportunity for her, and I'm sure she's going to impress. Like I said, I'm happy she's on the show, bro. Especially like in a vacuum, just as one match. Like, she's probably the person in that match I'm most excited to see.
Yes.
Like, and see her, you know what I mean? See how she kind of mixes it up with Mercedes as well. I'd have been happy with the singles.
Yeah, for sure. But Bozilla, that was one of my favorite matches of WrestleMania weekend. That was one of my favorite matches I saw in person. Bozilla versus Megan Bain from Spring Break was awesome. So I think she's a great addition to this card. But you're right. It's like, well, wait a minute. Out of all the people you picked from Stardom, you've got all these other big names. You picked Bozilla that most of the audience isn't going to be aware of. And great, it'll give her exposure, but
she can make an instant impact as well, can't she? She's one of those wrestlers. Like, she'll come in and she'll do like some crazy power spot, and it's like, and then boom, she's already bedded in with that audience. But still, to your point, you know, it's
Yeah.
when it's only one, you know. So, um,
But yeah, I mean, to
yes,
answer the question, I do think that this partnership is still advantageous to AEW. I do still think that there's something to being able to bring in AEW wrestlers and give them the opportunity to go to Japan on like an excursion, like what that did for Nick Wayne, for example. That was
mm,
very productive for him, and getting to put like some of these guys in the best of Super Junior, like immediately bringing in Ace, that makes me think, man, hopefully Ace is going to be in the best of Super Juniors next year, and hopefully. When this tag division becomes what I keep wanting this tag division to be, you could send the tag team over there and compete in the World Tag League or something. And so, I mean, I think like the door is wide open with guys like Takeshita going over and taking part in the G1. You can have some of your other big stars go over and take part in the G1. Even if they're not winning, you still have the novelty of an AEW wrestler competing in the G1. And hopefully you see more things like that, like maybe a New Japan guy coming over and taking part in the Continental Classic or something like that. And so those things make sense. I just think having the one show a year now when you're already doing so many other New Japan and AEW appearances throughout the year. It just doesn't feel as special. I think even more so now that you've had the show during Wrestle Kingdom weekend and they finally started moving it into Japan, it feels like, all right, how big of a deal is Forbidden Door at this point?
yeah. It's very, like I said, you look at the card, look at the representation up and down the card. There's not that much of it this year. Timing and everything, and the way the storylines kind of been non-existent. It's
Yeah.
it's like what? Obviously, I think as you said at the start, it's like I think it's advantageous to AEW to kind of have that option. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's like, oh, we can do the Forbidden Door. Like we're the company that can do the Forbidden Door. We're the company that allows all like this freedom and crossover and X, Y, and Z and the brand Forbidden Door. Like they're gonna sell pay per view buys just on that, even though it's not a hugely crossed over event, like just
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it's the brand of Forbidden Door alone will sell pay per views. And fair play to AEW, they've built that up and they deserve to be able to do that. But what other advantages is there? As you said, like on a talent perspective, being able to send talent to and from, and kind of polish your talent a bit more in different areas if you haven't got the space to do it on your own shows. But I guess more from like a New Japan side of things. It's like I guess other than like their slice of the gate for Forbidden Door or whatever, however they work that out. And they get to do the Wrestle Dynasty show. I know we've only seen like one of them, but obviously if they do the 2 yearly shows, I guess they get that out of it. Like they get two big houses out of that. You know, it's like in terms of like the actual partnership, I guess that's kind of more of the question really. It's like if you're New Japan, like as the relationship currently stands and how the current approach is to it from both companies, it's like what. And at the same time, New Japan don't have loads of leverage because of the roster
Mm-hmm.
depletion, etc., etc., etc. But it's like, what are New Japan actually getting out of this at the moment?
I mean, this year in general, I know Forbidden Door has been a mixed bag, but I mean, debatably at one point, people were saying the match of the year was Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega. And just being able to get an AEW guy to come over and be a part of one of your biggest shows of the year and getting a match of that caliber, that is advantageous to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Definitely.
you're not always going to get the same scenario of being able to bring in somebody as big as Kenny Omega, but of course they sold tickets off that. That was a big to do for them. And actually, I'm wrong, right? Sorry, Gabe and Kenny was on Wrestle Dynasty, not on Wrestle Kingdom. Sorry, but still,
Saying
regardless,
that
you
weekend
still got it
it
as a part
was,
of Wrestle Kingdom weekend.
yeah. So I guess just to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, if New Japan, at the start when they were kind of not playing ball,
Mhm.
you know, say if they fully decided to just wall themselves off from the US completely, I don't think that would have been good for the business or anything like that. But let's just bear with me, people. You know, let's pretend that they did. Do you think their talent would be a bit more complacent about jumping? So like somebody like an Okada or an Osprey or Jay White or whoever, like especially like Osprey, who like always would sing the praises of wrestling in Japan and how much it meant to him to wrestle in Japan. Then of course Okada, it's his home country. Um, if that like when you sign for AEW, you know you can just come back pretty much when you want. You know, like if you want to, if Okada wants to wrestle on the Dome this year, guess what, bro? He's wrestling on the Dome. Like nobody's telling Okada now. Whereas I guess if it was okay, if I'm leaving New Japan, like this is like, I'm done with Japan. You know, like I'm not gonna wrestle in the Dome. I'm not gonna wrestle in Sumo Hall. You know, Kurikan Hall. All these, you know what I mean? All these like I'm leaving all this behind. I'm leaving behind this style of live crowd because the live fans are very very different. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think it would. I don't think it's going to make Okada turn down like a multi-million-dollar offer of AEW. You know, but do
Yeah.
you think it would like make some of the talent at least kind of like think a bit more carefully about it if it was more walled off rather than like I said, it is very kind of like Osprey, Okada. I know Osprey hasn't really been back, but it's just kind of like they can. You know, no one
Yeah.
who's going to stop them. You know, like nobody's going to stop them at the point. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, but I think more to the point there, because I see what you're getting at, but it also kind of feels like that's not totally the driving point for some people that are leaving. It
Yeah, of
seems like,
course.
of course, like um, people go to wrestle in Japan. Of course, it's a dream for a lot of people to wrestle in Japan, but it's a very high impact style of wrestling. And a lot of people that leave, they talk about how, they want to work a less taxing style and something that is not as
You've
hard on
got
their bodies.
Okada, man.
Yeah. And so and I
God
think that's
bless.
part of it. Also, having a company in the US that's offering as much money as AEW does and can compete with the level of a
Mm-hmm.
contract that somebody like WWE would give, I think that also changes things. And I mean, that was the main thing from the beginning. As soon as
Yeah,
AEW
100%
cropped
money.
up, is that all right? Now there's an alternative in the US for a lot of guys that were going to Japan and making pretty good money to stay home and make good money. And now you've got guys like Okada or somebody like Osprey that wanted to make the jump to wrestle in US full time. And now it's lucrative to do that and still wrestle something close to their style of wrestling. And so I think the bigger issue here is like the bigger AEW gets, um, how much of an impact is that going to have on New Japan and the rest of the industry in the long run? I don't think it's intentional
Yeah, neither
um,
do I.
to have that kind of impact on New Japan or smaller promotions, but it's inevitable because it's another company where people can sign and make a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I guess just kind of just playing devil's advocate, really, with the whole imagine if they were walled off kind of thing. Because it's like, I don't know, there's multiple ways of thinking of it, but at the end of the day, it's more to the reasons that you've just named, the more obvious reasons,
Yeah. I mean,
schedule, money,
yeah.
platform, X, Y, and Z, So,
Yeah, and New Japan's been in this. They've been doing this hokey pokey thing with the U.S. for a while
mm,
now. They've been wanting to expand into the U.S. for years now, and New Japan Strong has been an avenue to do that. And working with ROH before that, or working with AEW has presented them with ways to do that. But I don't know that their footprint in the U.S. has really expanded in the way that they've wanted to, and you can make a strong argument that the thing that slowed it down was AEW,
no,
because
100%. And
if
again,
a
like you
if
said, it wasn't intentional. It's just,
right, and I'm not, of course, not saying that AEW started and then they intentionally ruined New Japan's chances of making a real push into the U.S. market, but it has been a byproduct of the existence of AEW. Like before,
yeah.
I mean, even when you think of some of the New Japan shows that happened here in America before AEW was a thing, I mean, That's where we got Cody versus Kenny Omega was in a New Japan US show. That's where the Elite got kicked out of Bullet Club on a New Japan show in the US. And you're not going to have something as big like that happening on a New Japan show here now because of something like AEW and just where the market exists.
Yeah, and there's only a certain amount of market share, isn't there? So like around that
Yes.
time in like the late 2010s when AEW was bubbling up, the first All In, and like New Japan was like scorching hot. Um, there was definitely an opportunity. Like you could feel it in the business, bro. Like there was an opportunity brewing for something like an All Elite Wrestling to come in,
Yeah.
but it never felt like to me like, oh, this is an opportunity for free companies to come in and make a big mark in America. It was always just going to be like, will we get the Elite's alternative? Will that be ROH, for example? Like maybe the Elite just kind of just went with ROH and went that route and tried to make the stamp in America that way. They probably wouldn't have. They probably would have just fucking sold for WWE. But or maybe like New Japan would have done like this really big expansion into the US, which I guess they tried, but it's like it was a very different game when AEW had already been established, and then you also don't have the stars that you would have liked to have had to establish this US branch of your company. So again, I don't think AEW did it intentionally. Like, oh, we're going to take this opportunity away from New Japan, and we're going to take the talent, and we're going to make things less easy for them, and blah blah blah. It's just that AEW are doing what they're doing to be the best company that they can be. And as Phil said, I guess an unfortunate byproduct for that if you're a New Japan fan as well, because I think we're all fans of all the companies. Um, New Japan's road is a lot more difficult, and I think 2025, I think we're seeing that more than ever now. And of course, when you pair that with, Gaito's lost his fastball, it's like it's very tough for them. So I think like with New Japan again, as I already touched on and Ibu touched on weeks ago, it's like I think they're in a position where like their best usage of this relationship is to literally just try and get one of your old guys back to do something big with a Suji or a Shota or God forbid a Ren Narita if you think he's the one, you know. Um, but yeah, man, like obviously I know
Yeah.
that things are easier said than done. Like Okada's already carrying a title, so you'd have to get that off him, blah blah blah. But the idea of Okada coming back and being like, look at the state of this place. Like you
Well,
can just
the
like,
funny thing about this is even the big match I'm thinking that you have on the table, New Japan's not going to get that match. The big match that you could do right now is easily Takeshita versus Okada because they've already set up the tension between these two guys in the Don Callis family. You've already set up an anticipated rematch. And, I mean, the Fatal Four Way for the Continental title that was a year ago. That was All Out 2024. So you've already got
yeah,
this anticipation to get back to that, do the one-on-one match. And after Takeshita's G1 run, he was basically a baby face. Not even basically, he was a baby face in this tournament. And so I have to assume that's starting to turn the tide of him turning baby face with AEW. And so I feel like we're going to get to catch the Okada soon, and it's not going to happen for New Japan. It's probably going to happen on AEW pay per view.
it's funny because it's like I don't know, 5 years ago. You may have looked at those two. Man, 5 years ago might have been a bit. If you was one of the early Takeshita believers, I guess, you
Mm-hmm.
know, 5 years ago, you may have looked at that potential matchup of like, oh, that's a passing of the torch. That's the match. But it's the both at AEW. it's,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, obviously
yeah,
you've got
man.
you've got
It's
other like story elements you can do. I mean, you inevitably are going to do something with Mox and Shota that's this big passing torch moment for him as well. But I feel like that's a ways away. I don't think that's something you can do like
he needs to find
next
himself
year.
first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's something that you can have teed up for January.
Yeah, he's like I said, they're just in a really awkward position creatively, and even just like with the talent that they have at the disposal. And I just guess like it's hard for them. And even AEW, like even if AEW was like decided that like we want to be super giving and help New Japan come back, it's like even then you'd be kind of scratching your head like, how do we do this? Like, how do we get these houses back up? How do because it's like the G1 Climax houses were down year on year again. It's as we've already mentioned on this, like Zach, like he's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. He's one of the best in ring wrestlers of his generation. He genuinely he he's one of the wrestlers that you're proud of being a Brit. Like us Brits on wrestling Twitter, we get the shit kicked out of us, but we got Zach, we got Osprey always fucking doing crazy shit. Nigel, but Zach is definitely one of those names. I think there's an argument that he's like the greatest British wrestler of all time. At least an argument. I know a lot of people would have Will above him.
Mm-hmm.
Zach's been doing this a bit longer though, so I guess you could kind of argue that case.
I mean, I think from last year to year, if you just go by the PWI standards of June to June, Zach had a better year. I don't think it's debatable he had a better year.
I'm not the greatest at those sort of because like I have to remember too much.
I mean, if you go year to year from June, Zach won the G1, first British G1 winner. Then he had, I believe, wasn't a Danielson match over the summer at Sakura Genesis?
No, Sakura. Okay, Wrestle Dream was 2023.
Yeah, so the match in Japan was last year, but did he have the? Then he had the G1 win. Went on to win it. Went on to defend it at Royal Quest in Britain. Back to back Tokyo Dome matches. Main evented 2 nights. Won both matches. 2-time IWGP title holder in that year. Nah, Zach is by far the better year.
Yeah, it's hard to top that. Again, people, the PWI ranking system criteria.
I'm very curious to see where Zach is going to land on that list because I think he should be pretty high on that list. Based on accomplishments, he should be well within the top 5.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe even top 3. Because that is a big year, but you just kind of lay it out. And obviously, Osprey's excelled in ring, but it's we're still waiting for him to win that first AEW World Title, aren't we? We're still waiting on his big. I know that he's injured, and this is like with him being injured and like needing surgery. Like I know he's gonna wrestle this weekend, but like him needing surgery is like, and I guess I'll use this to kind of segue into our next bit about AEW's injuries. Is like I'm really big on like going through windows when they're open, and I think the window for Will Ospreay to be like solidified as AEW's like top guy or whatever. And of course I'm not against Hangman being that guy at the moment either. This isn't anything against Hangman, but when you look at kind of like how Will Ospreay has just like bulldozed his way into AEW ever since the first time he stepped in the ring, like even before he actually signed for AEW, and he was doing like the trios tournament and stuff like that, like he just immediately grabbed that audience, bro.
Yeah.
And ever since he signed for them, he's like his pay-per-view matches, like I'm not even the hugest Will Ospreay fucking fan, but the way his matches get over, bro, on every pay-per-view or even on TV 9 times out of 10 is like it's undeniable, like this guy is killing it. So like to see him going into we're about to go into like the 3rd year of fucking like how long's Ospreay been in AEW without winning the world title? How long is it going?
He signed in 2023.
2023. So if his crowning moment is next year's Wembley, because they are going back to Wembley for All In next year.
Yeah, let me.
If that's the crowning moment, that'll be 2026, bro. August 2026. And it's like the idea of Ospreay going 3 years in AEW with what he's produced in AEW without winning a world title is like,
so
I don't know. It just sounds crazy to me.
we're not even fully into year 2 yet because if I remember correctly,
what month did he sign?
He became a free agent. He signed officially late 2023, and then he debuted in 2024 at Revolution That was
Unfortunately,
March.
crowning moment was beating Kenny. No, it wasn't, bro. We're not doing that.
Crowning moment was beating Kenny in
No, it wasn't.
AEW. Oh no, for sure not.
No, it
I
wasn't. It just
I
wasn't.
it's funny because I just thought about like the last time we did a podcast together. It was in a build up to All In, and we both thought that Osprey was going to win the Owen, and he was going to head in All In, and he was going to win the belt. And so I don't think they made the wrong decision. I think going with Hangman ended up being the right decision for where AEW is as a company right now. I think they needed to crown a homegrown guy with with the way that the company is going so far this year. They needed to give the fans something to reward their patience with Hangman's booking.
And the Death Riders stuff in general,
Yes, and so I
persevering
think
through that.
so. I think they went in the right route. I mean, it's hard to argue with it after seeing the end of Double
No,
or Nothing.
100%. I agree as well. Like again, just to re-emphasize, like, I've nothing against Hangman being like that guy. I just think
Yeah,
if it does get to Wembley next year, 2026, and we're coming up on because that at that point it will actually nearly be 3 years, won't it? If we
it'll be
get to like
close to 3 years.
August next year,
Yeah.
if that's when they do All In anyway. So like August next year, we'll be closing in on 3 years of Osprey in AEW. It took him that long to win the world. And
Yeah,
I guess just
yeah,
that sentence in a vacuum sounds crazy, but obviously when you add all the context, like the Danielson stuff, the Moxley wanting to tell the Steph Riders story, and Hangman being the right person to like dethrone that, and then you've got like the Derby element that was also hanging over this in recent months as well. And like, obviously with context, you can kind of make some sense of it. But
yeah,
again, just as like a sentence, like it took this
yeah,
fucking version of Will Ospreay nearly 3 years to get his like crowning AEW moment is insane.
yeah.
Um,
It does feel close to the mistakes that they made with Kenny Omega in the first year, where they didn't just make him the
yes,
champion the first year,
exactly,
and also with Cody not just making
exactly.
Cody champion in the first year,
That's why
and
I mentioned the windows at the start. Like this
wrestling
may be
like
another one.
and yeah, like wrestling, it is a lot of times a timing thing,
Hmm.
and we're already dealing with him needing surgery, and you don't want to get to Forbidden Door next year or even All In next year, and then you don't have Osprey because he's injured, or then he wins the title and it gets cut short by injury, God forbid. And it's just kind of like I get it. I get feeling like, man, why didn't they strike when this guy was hot? Because this guy in the first year with this company was white hot, and in any other circumstance, I think you make this guy champion. I think he would have been champion by now. And I mean, he's been also very giving as well. Um,
Well,
being being willing to,
to a
uh,
fault, I honestly think, but
yeah,
God
being
bless him.
willing,
God
being,
bless him. He's a good, he's a good guy. It seems.
yeah. But I mean, we talked about Suji earlier, and clearly Tony sees something at Suji because he mentioned on the call that Suji was supposed to be the Forbidden Door match last year before Osprey came in and pitched the match with Swerve instead. And I mean, I do think that that was the right call because then uh, you got this lingering criticism of Swerve's reign out the way, and people didn't think, oh, well, they're just gonna have him lose to Osprey. You got that out of there, but at the same time, it's like, man, you had an Osprey title run that probably could have happened by now, and it still hasn't happened.
In hindsight, I do think that is one of the more interesting decisions that I guess you could throw a few hot takes from of like, because that was, as you said, like Swerve had the belt and everyone's like, well, he's just keeping it warm for Osprey. And it felt like, and I think it's even been reported or at least touched on in an interview or something. It's just like they did that match to basically shut that shit down. you
Yes.
know, they did that match to shut that narrative down, and obviously to have a great pay-per-view match to show that Swerve is like he's our guy. You know, but it's like in hindsight now, all that led to Swerve dropping the belt to Brian to drop it to Marks and to do the Death Riders. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like
Yeah, it prolonged it even more.
We could have got a Will Ospreay fucking sick rain out of that like
Yeah,
instead. And he's just
yeah. I mean, like I think it was the right decision at the time for Swerve. They
of course,
needed
yeah, I
to.
get it. I get it. Like I wouldn't
Yeah,
hold it against AEW. I just said like in hindsight, I guess it is something that you could kind of like throw a few fun takes around with, you know. But yeah, man, I don't. Again, it's sort of with the Hangman situation now. It's like I'm not against them, you know, going with Hangman. Hangman's the right choice for right now with how things are right now, you know. But
yeah.
but yeah, again, like, when it comes to these windows of opportunity that you have, and I'm not saying Will Ospreay will come back and he's going to be finished or he won't be over. He's going to be great, you know. He probably will still get his crowning moment next year, you know.
Yeah.
You know, fingers crossed that his surgery goes great when he gets it. But
Well, I think we would be having a different conversation also if Osprey and Swerve lost at All In. Because
yeah,
other Mikey V is
obviously,
saying in
yeah.
the chat, he's saying what Osprey and Swerve losing to the Bucks have made the 3-year wait better or worse. I think that would have set up an interesting dynamic going into the Owen for next year because by the time they would have been able to challenge for the titles again, because it was a year, it would have been a year where they couldn't challenge for the title. So by the time either of them could challenge for the belt again, it would set them both up to enter the Owen, and that would have immediately given the Owen a nice dynamic. But
100%.
I don't think you wanted to add that stipulation on either of these guys. I think that would have been a big mistake.
Yeah, yes.
And then on top of that, the EVP stuff has run its course. If you
Yeah, 100%.
keep an EVP stuff going for another year, would have been a mistake.
Yeah. Again, just opportunities, windows, and in hindsight, obviously, you know, you can kind of think, oh, they should have done this. And it's like, well, at that time, it was the right thing for them to do. And, you know, I think AEW are pretty good at not doing, like, you know, like the decisions, like you'll see, again, to touch on this, hilariously, like Evil going to the G1 final and, like, people being just absolutely disgusted in this booking decision. I think Tony's done a pretty, and I don't think Tony's an amazing booker or anything, but I think he's having a good year in 2025. I think he's pretty clearly the booker of the year in 2025. Where was I going with this?
Yeah, I think you're just saying that he hasn't made one of these like crazy booking decisions in a while.
He hasn't. Yeah,
that
he
made
hasn't.
people like,
It's been
why
ages,
did you do that?
bro.
It's been a while. I mean, people were pretty unhappy with Swerve losing to the Death Riders, but that ended up panning out, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, but I think with that one, okay, like Ayo fully crushed it. Like we clipped it and everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? But like we got all the juice out of that crash out. You get me? But at the same time, yeah, you got to think Ayo's like a huge. And I'm not saying he was the only. Like there was Novi, there's loads of fans, but I think and the other end of that, like fans crashing out about that one was like. At least half the audience was expecting Mox to win anyway, bro.
Yes.
Like, I feel like wanting Swerve to win that always felt a bit hopeful, didn't it? You know? Like, it always felt a bit like...
It
man,
felt
it'd
like...
be sick if he would. Like, it was never like, oh, yeah, Swerve has to win this match, otherwise the whole story's fucked. Like, it was never like a thing like that. Whereas, like, if Hangman lost it all in, that would have been like...
Yeah, that would have been terrible.
that would have been a complete tragedy.
That would have been far, far worse. But I think it was more like fans feeling like for what All In Texas was, and this is like the first big show of that caliber for AEW in the US. And for about a year now, the best feud in the company has been Swerve versus Hangman. I think a lot of people wanted to see those two guys main event All In Texas. And I can't say that would have been a wrong call. But, you know, it is what it is. I think the way it panned out, it ended up working out.
Yeah, man. So, like, but yeah, obviously talking about windows of opportunities, the reason why we talk about that is because Ospreay, as he's already announced and has been widely reported now by a few outlets, you know, he needs the neck surgery, bro. He said as much on Dynamite, and as I said, it's been reportedly confirmed as being 100% legit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna need pretty significant surgery. It's neck surgery, bro. Neck/spinal surgery. Like that's always significant, even if you're only having something tweaked. He said in an interview with was it with John Alba? No, it wasn't with John Alba. It was with SR though. I'm forgetting brother's name. Apologies.
Oh,
Um,
was it Zach? I think it was Zach.
yes,
Zach
Zach
Hayden.
Hayden. Yes. Um, yeah, he did a great interview with Zach on Sports Illustrated, and he spoke a bit more candidly about his injury, talking about like he's gonna get through this match and then get surgery, and it's it's uh it's obviously very worrisome, isn't it? How candidly he spoke about his injury and like how significant it sounds, and then he's like, "Well, I told the AEW doctors this one's on me," and it's just like,
Yeah,
obviously that part of it is a work, but of course I guess the message of it being like, my neck is fucked, but I'm wrestling this anyway, is very real. Um, so I guess there is some questions around that, and obviously sometimes you have to save the talent from themselves.
yeah,
Osprey did say in his interview, obviously, that I believe his surgeon told him that the injury can't get any worse, but it does need addressing. So
yeah,
he's obviously been clear to some extent to do some stuff in this match. But obviously in this same interview, he said like, if there's any slight chance that I'm not gonna be the same after I get this surgery and when I come back this Sunday in the cage match, I'm gonna go full Will Ospreay. And it's like,
Mm.
wow.
Ugh. Yeah,
I've seen the bumps he takes when he goes full Will Ospreay, and
yeah. Uh, but yeah, but see, just how hard he goes. That's the other part about not putting the belt on him early on. That you're rolling the dice. And I mean, we've heard this kind of scenario multiple times in wrestling of a guy just continuing to work injured for various reasons. A guy doesn't want to lose their spot, or they keep putting it off. Like, okay, we got this big show coming up, and we got this coming up. And for Osprey, for example, yeah, he lost to Owen, and you're not going to put the belt on him, but you do have All in Texas coming up, and it's like it would have been hard to imagine that show coming up with the run that this guy's been on, and he's not a part of that show. And then you go, okay, well maybe I'll be able to take a break after All In. But then you also got Forbidden Door in your home country. Are we going to really bring a big pay per view to the UK and not have Will Ospreay on that card? So it's like he just keeps adding to, okay, well I'll take some time after this, and I'll take some time after this, and it keeps adding up, adding up, adding up, and this is where we are. I would hope that after Forbidden Door, he can just take some time off and he doesn't get talked into doing something else. Obviously, that would have been another one of the benefits of Osprey and Swerve losing to the Bucks, is that both of them could have been written off TV right after that match, and Osprey could have taken some time off. We also got the news that Swerve is still dealing with some knee injuries, and so
meniscus.
yeah, so he could have taken some time off to sort that out as well if they lost that tag match. But again, the idea of them keeping this EVP thing going for another year seems pretty dreadful. I don't know. I don't know, bro.
Yeah, it's tough, and obviously it hurts. Like you've just mentioned, like the stipulation with the Young Bucks match, and of course that's like a creative element where you can kind of like play off of the injuries and stuff like that to kind of get over certain hurdles, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got Osprey, who I guess we assume he's going to be out for at least a few months if he gets his neck surgery post Forbidden Door, like I guess we all expect him to do. He's came out and said as much.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt he gets talked into doing much more because I don't know these guys. I don't know Tony. I don't know, I don't even know Will as much as you do. Do you know what I mean? I would assume that a lot of this is probably like Will, So if he's coming out saying I'm going to get surgery after this match, I do tend to believe him, and I doubt he'll get talked into much else because I think it's probably been him pushing to do these extras. Like, I want to wrestle in England, I want to wrestle on Forbidden, I want to wrestle on All In, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like he's going to be out for a minute. Swerve, wonder what the situation will be with him because he's had that meniscus issue for a minute now. I think 2018, 2019, ever since WWE, he first had that meniscus issue, and he's managed to keep it pretty fucking chill for years.
I mean, yeah,
And
it's a meniscus. It's not like a
he's
ligament tear, and
yeah,
so
exactly. So you still
I
don't
mean,
need it aggravated. You can still move around on it. I
yeah,
think
I mean,
meniscus
like
is what Ibu injured, I think.
yeah, I mean, we've seen basketball players like tear a meniscus and then continue to play on it. It's one of those things where you can just decide to have the surgery and they just cut the damaged part out and then, or just have it completely removed and just keep going, or just have the surgery and whatever. And so it's not as big of an injury, as serious of an injury as a neck injury, because every time you hear neck injury, especially in
Oh
wrestling,
yeah,
it's
of
like,
course. Osprey's
man.
Yeah, he's like a
But
big hit, But
yeah,
Swerve's one of their top guys. Swerve is one of their top
yeah,
guys, and he may or may not need to take a little bit of time off. Who knows? He may
he's
just
he's earned it.
decide. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course, 100%, 100. All these guys, Osprey. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like
I mean,
Osprey, Swerve, they're out now.
th-
Adam Cole, we know is out like long term, which is obviously very like unfortunate. We don't know if or when he's coming back. Um, Jay White is seemingly a less scary situation, but still as weirdly little known about it, you know.
mhm.
But Jay White's out long term. Tony Khan said he's not coming back anytime soon. Orange Cassidy, he's one of the ones when I was looking into like AEW's kind of injury issues at the moment. One of the ones that I won't say I forgot about, but it kind of reminded me because he's already been out for a minute. Then of course there's been the more
Yeah,
recent
it's a
injuries
torn
as
pec,
well.
right? I think.
Yeah, torn pec, like he's out
Yeah.
for a minute. He's down. You know what I mean? Like Orange Cassidy is out. Pac has been out for ages. Eddie Kingston's been out for ages. I know he's kind of like
Yeah,
on
well,
the
he
verge
like
of getting cleared,
tore
but
his
like
knee. He like destroyed his knee. So yeah,
destroyed his, well, Gabe accidentally did, but like
yeah,
destroyed his knee. But yeah, obviously, like I said, I know Eddie's kind of like he's on the verge of getting cleared and coming back and getting integrated into the show again. But like as of right now, he isn't. So look, there's some big players, bro. Osprey, Swerve, Cole, Jay White, Orange Cassidy, Pac, obviously as part of the Death Riders, and Eddie Kingston. And even
mhm,
just like some other players, kind of like less main event, less main storylines. You've got like Brian Cage is injured, Buddy Matthews is injured, Mark Davis is injured. Like these are all people that we're getting used, bro. All of
mhm.
them. So I guess with
Yeah.
all these injuries,
Jamie
there's also
Hayter still
Jamie
injured,
Hayter.
right?
Yeah, on the women's side as well, the Jamie Hayter. There's Thunder Rosa's out for a bit as well. Um, there's a few. So Tony can't even use it as one of the reasons why he's had to kind of delay doing this AEW women's tag titles. Um, but yeah, someone in chat said Joe. We mentioned Joe White, bro. There's a lot of injuries, especially like obviously I guess kind of more on the men's side seems to be a lot more depleted at the moment. Um, And I guess kind of like what I wanted to talk about is kind of like who do they turn to in this, and it's kind of like it's more. I guess it will be kind of more of what we've been seeing recently, which like Hangman's obviously he's top guy, he's a world champion right now. They'll obviously lean on him as they would naturally anyway because he's the world champion. They need to lean on him. They should be leaning on him. It's what a world champion is fucking there for, and they
Mhm.
are. And then there's obviously MJF. He's doing like 4 fucking things at once at the moment. Well, the Hurt Syndicate stuff is basically done. No, that's done now, isn't it? Like, that don't even
Oh,
count as the
yeah,
Mac verse anymore. Like that's done. But he's still obviously Hangman, Mark Briscoe, and Mystico. He's a busy guy. But of course, he's one of the people that they'll lean on.
yeah. I mean,
Mox is still around, but of course, it's like how like keeping that fresh and interesting, even with Darby involved, is always going to be kind of like I guess a creative challenge.
yeah,
Takeshita is like he's just won the G1 climax, and obviously whenever he's in AEW, that should be absolutely a huge deal, But like, there's I think it was Brian Alvarez that said that like he got knocked silly in one of his matches. I think it was the Zack Sabre. I know he's wrestled 2 matches since he won the G1 and wrestled Ishii on the Collision taping, but I think it was a Zack match. It's like apparently he didn't remember it, bro.
wow,
He got in the back, did not remember what had just been going on. So that may be something that they'll have to monitor. Like Takeshita might have to take a couple of weeks off or something soon if he goes into concussion protocol. Um, But yeah, man, there's a lot of injuries, and it's like, who do they lean on besides kind of like the obvious two in Hangman and MJF, who they obviously already are, and that's the top program that they're doing at the moment. Because the Max thing, as I just mentioned, it's a little. He's been sub at the forefront, but it's like, how do you keep that fresh? You know.
Hmm.
Then it's like Darby's just come back, so maybe what are you thinking with all these injuries? Like, how would you?
I
Who are
mean,
the names that you're looking at to be like, this is an opportunity for this person to get elevated or move up or do more with, or maybe not even necessarily elevated, like someone like a Samoa Joe. He's back in the game now. Obviously he doesn't need to be elevated. It's Samoa Joe, and you can lean on him a bit more. So who are the names that are like coming to mind for you? Like, how do you think AEW best kind of handle this
I mean,
injury situation?
I mean, losing big stars of that caliber. The great thing about this is, you possibly have the biggest women's star you've ever had in Tony
Yes.
Storm right now, and so I think the move is to lean on the women's division and lean on Tony Storm more as someone that can main event some of these shows and be a bigger fixture on these shows. You also have Mercedes, who's also a big star. So I think having two big stars in the women's division helps them, and they should lean on the women more. Um, I also think that they've gotta. It's the same thing I was saying earlier with Suji. You gotta pull the trigger on one of these women that you have that are waiting in the wings in Willow or Statlander. It feels like Statlander has been on the cusp of a world title run uh, for about 3 years now, 4 years, arguably 5. You can make an argument that she was supposed to be champion
Yeah,
in
she's
the
been a
first
fan
year.
favorite for a minute.
And I think you gotta make the move with Statlander soon. Willow's another one you've got to make the move with soon. Um, and I mean, on the men's side, you've got so many guys that you've had stop start pushes with. What, like where are we going with Garcia? I feel like Garcia was in such a great place last year, coming out of Double or Nothing. You gave him the TNT title win, and that Reign wasn't good. And then, sorry, he won at Full Gear, not Double or Nothing. That was where the Jack match was. You coming out of Full Gear, you had something with this guy. You gave him the big win, and then it kind of went nowhere. And I'm assuming you're turning him heel now, based on the stuff from Collision last week. It looks like that's the direction you're going in. But you got to figure it out with some of these guys, because this is a loaded roster, but you have so many guys that they haven't quite figured out what to do with yet. And I think Daniel Garcia is a perfect example of that. I think for as much as being a part of the Death Riders has benefited somebody like Yuta, what's the plan after this? Like, where are you going from here? Like, all of the guys that you've really set up in that year right after the pillars were set up, those 3 guys that it felt like, all right, these are the guys that we're going to start pushing going forward, they're kind of at a standstill right now. Like, even where's Jack? Like, what's going on with Jack Perry? Like, what? He's not injured. He's just not on TV.
He's on holding bench, bro. Holding bench.
Bro,
Chat, Phil. How's my sound? How is it? Is it clear? Am I
yeah,
jittery?
that's good.
Okay, I'm all good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think obviously you look at the other divisions as well. I think it's very good that you highlight kind of the women's division. Like, yeah, they've got a few injuries there as well, but when you've got your Tony Storms, when you've got your Mercedes, when you've got Willow and Chris who are crying out to be elevated to that next level, to be on a level with Mercedes and Tony Storm, there's opportunities there. Chap mentioned like Brodido, Jet Speed.
Brody's another one, bro. People have been waiting for Brody to get this big win as a singles wrestler. You got the chance now.
Yeah, they've definitely got the roster. It's just I wonder. It's like I would like to see them use this opportunity to really commit, like this one. Let's fucking go. Like, let's commit. let's Randy Orton, Cole Fletcher, and it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's just do it, bro. World champion in a few months. I would not be mad at it. So like even just something like that where it's just like, okay, with a few of the pieces being moved around now, like we can do something crazy with Cole Fletcher. And no, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they've been slow with Fletcher so far or anything. I think he's been pushed very strongly and it's been very obvious that he's next up, you know. He's not the only guy in AEW to pin Okada, isn't he? Like, he's who else has pinned Okada in AEW? He might be the only one. I think he's the only one. Brian tapped him out, didn't he?
Yeah, but
Brian tapped him out, I think. But yeah, man. Like, obviously Fletcher's, and he's just.
I think it's only Fletch and Brian. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Fletcher and Danielson. Oh yeah, Danielson pinned him on the elbow. Okay. But yeah, somebody like a Cole Fletcher, or obviously like you've mentioned, like and like you've got the people who have been waiting for an opportunity for a few years now, whether that's Brody King, and you mentioned Daniel Garcia as well. And I know Daniel Garcia isn't like the hottest at the moment with the fan base and stuff, but it's just like he's shown that we can get there before, so you can try and get there again with some actual good booking. I think him having a poorly booked TNT title round was super unfortunate. So. But yeah, like a guy like a Fletcher or a Brody King, even like Bandido, man. Like obviously he's been very unfortunate with like his wrist injury and stuff like that. Powerhouse Hobbs. Then obviously, like I said, you've got your more safe options like your Samoa Joe. I think a few people mentioned in the chat, it's like when in doubt, hit the Samoa Joe button. You know, it's like that's always going to be something that Tony has for the next couple of years that Samoa Joe sticks around, until he retires or whatever. Samoa Joe's fucking. I love Samoa Joe, bro. He's so good, man. He may be that actually might be a bit more New Japan involvement on the Forbidden Door show because they might do like War Dogs versus the Ups in it. So we'll see if that gets announced on Collision or something. But I could see that happening.
War Dog guys randomly showed up this week on Dynamite.
Exactly, man.
Drilla fresh off of a G1 run, and the other War Dogs. Gabe is in the building. Gabe continues to catch strays from the New Japan guys. Like, hey, what are you doing over here? Don't you got a belt you could defend over here?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, obviously, there's. I guess it's kind of the silver lining, isn't it, for like kind of like all the names that we've kind of mentioned and thrown around, like of when you lose your big stars or heavy hitters, like there's a lot that they've lost. It opens up other opportunities for others. So
yeah,
I'd definitely be the one that I'd probably circle the most, and it's kind of like a weird one because they're already like on a pretty strong path with him. But Fletcher, man, like,
yeah,
I'd just be like, the thing I won't want to cut Hangman's reign short, but like he would be in the picture in the next couple of months, if it was up to me. I know some people would probably be like, well, Max or whatever, but it's just like Fletcher. Something like Max is Max, isn't it?
So you're full on. You would put the world title on Fletcher.
When he won the TNT title, it wasn't enough, bro. Like I think he already shown. I think we've already seen, and even his booking has already shown to me that like if he was gonna win the TNT title, that would have been like 6 months ago or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it would have been a while ago.
Well, they had to prolong it too because of Adam Cole stuff.
Yeah, I know. Well,
part of it, but
they didn't have to do it.
I agree. I would have just put the belt on Fletcher at All In if it was me, but
no, I'm not even. The thing that they did with Adam Cole, I'm not even really mad about that, really, because I think with what they did, with the unfortunate way that it played out, very last minute and stuff, to just kind of be like, fuck it, we'll give Dustin a moment. I'm not really mad at that. Then the match with Dustin was so perfect for what it needed to be that it was just like, fuck it. Like, that match he had with Dustin, like, no offense to him, I'm not even one of those guys that hates on him or anything, or I wish him the best truly, but like, that match he had with Dustin is 10 times better than anything he could have done with Adam Cole, bro. Like, you know, so. And I don't hate Adam Cole or anything, but that Dustin match was like special. I think Dave go 5. I think Dave went 5 on it.
He went 5 on him?
I think Dave went 5 on Dustin Cole. He did, bro. See, Phil. Someone said my mic's popping a bunch. Let me just what can I ask you to kind of? What can I ask you? Can't think of anything. I'm gonna need to refresh and disappear for like 20 seconds. So, if you want to talk to the chat for 10 seconds, get some questions into the chat. Chat, give us some questions so Phil isn't just like staring blankly at the screen. Even though I'm only gonna be gone for like 10 seconds. I did have a worrying suspicion that my mic was popping. So
yeah.
Chat's talking about Ryan, all you've done in here is come in here to tell us that SmackDown is on and now tell us the result of said match on SmackDown. It's like, are you even watching the show, or are you just here to do, like, you're a usual watcher, bro? Like, are you just here to do fucking SmackDown propaganda? Like, what are we doing? You know?
Top Rope Bozo, I agree. AR Fox is another guy that they continue to show has like a big following. The fans really like this guy. He's gotten over online and at the shows. I think he's another guy you could push eventually as well. But yeah, I mean, AEW is in a weird situation with injuries, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that they'll be fine. Strapping up Fletcher within like the next few months would be interesting though. I don't. So you think they should put the title on Kyle Fletcher? That's where we were kind of at before you.
I think he should at least be like in the picture in the next couple of months.
Yes.
Again, I think because of like, again, as I've said a few times already on this show, like, I do think Hangman is right to have in the position that he's in right now, and he's not somebody where I think. Especially with like all the bullshit booking and shit that him and his fans have gone through over the past couple of years, I won't want to cut his reign short, you know. So outside of that element, like, I'm ready to go like fucking all in with Kyle Fletcher, because I think the year that he's produced, his age combined with like his look, his momentum, and just kind of like how well he's adapted this year, bro. Like, we don't see shit like this very often. Like, somebody turning heel and picking it up like he was always, like, he was born to do this. And I might sound like I'm exaggerating, but I think Kyle has been that good.
Great. Yeah,
so
he's been great.
I was talking with like Ibu and Joe like after a show, or they might have even said this on the show. But it's like, Kyle Fletcher might be the best wrestler in that company at the moment. Like, that is how good he is at the moment, bro. So
I don't know if I would say the best, but I think
who's better than Kyle Fletcher right now in that company?
Right now? I mean, in a company with Will Ospreay in it, and
he's injured.
I mean, if you're gonna disqualify people that are injured, maybe.
And I actually think, you know what, bro?
I think I'd
put Kyle above Will anyway. I genuinely think I would.
I wouldn't put him over.
I think Kyle's been phenomenal this year in ring. I think his heel performances have been, whereas Ospreay, maybe it's just maybe I've been a bit desensitized to like the Ospreay epic. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's an element to it. Whereas like all the Cole stuff this year, it's very new to watch like this young fucking stud become like.
I think that's
arguably the best heel in the business in ring. You know, like
I think it's part of the investment with it. Because somebody recently was saying that somebody tweeted like Derrick Rose means more to Chicagoans than Michael Jordan, which on the surface sounds ludicrous. But I think at the time, if you were here and you struggled through what it was like to be a Chicago Bulls fan for years without Michael Jordan. And then we draft this guy that is just incredible. And he lifts this city on his back. And you watch this journey from us being terrible and watch this guy develop into one of the best stars in basketball. Yeah, our connection to him is different, and he's from here. And I think it's kind of the same way with Kyle Fletcher. We've watched this guy develop into this, and I think that's part of it. But I mean, I still think there are like 4 or 5 guys I would put above him right now. Like in a company with with Osprey and Swerve and Kenny Omega.
Bro,
I don't know,
right
man.
now. I just think in ring right now, Kyle's just. Yeah, man. It's like you name those guys, and I'm just kind of like Kenny. Obviously, Kenny is very, very special, but it's like at this point of his career, he's going to be very, very special a couple times a year. You know,
He's
and that's
limited,
fine. Like
but
he's got so much credit in the bank.
he's
He's
still
still Kenny. Yeah, he's still
he's
Kenny
still Kenny
Omega.
Omega.
Innit? But I think Kyle's body of work has been phenomenal
He's been
this
great.
year.
I think the thing that is more impressive to me as well, because a lot of wrestlers that are very good, they don't pick up this side as quick. I think that like his media appearances, he's been fantastic. Out of all of the guys we interviewed during All In weekend, I felt like he was the most polished. He was one of the most prepared. He was one of the most well spoken. And I think that's because he does so many media appearances for AEW in Chicago. Like he does a lot of radio stuff here to promote the show. And I really think that's part of what some of the other guys are lacking. I think they've got to send guys like Garcia and
100%.
some of those guys out to media appearances more for them to get better and better at it. Because right now, Kyle Fletcher is ahead of them in that way. He feels like he's got it. He's very comfortable in interviews, and I think that that's missing with some of the other guys. That's the thing that's gonna separate him from some of the other guys and make him feel like a bigger star.
Yeah, I think they could definitely play to the kind of media game a bit better. I think that's something that I've always said that about AEW in general, to be honest. And it's not even a thing of like asking them to be WWE.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like there's sort of the two extremes, isn't it? And AEW, to be fair to them, is better than what they were in
Yes.
playing like the media game, because they used to be like fucking amateurs at that shit, bro. He was like,
Yeah.
if I started a promotion or something, you know. They have got better at it now. It's not, and obviously, like I said, WWE is a complete other end. You know, where it almost feels like everything's a fucking commercial. You know, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, AEW, I think, especially as what you're making point of like from a talent perspective, of making the talent more kind of like media, PR trained and
Mhm.
experienced. I definitely think there is an element of trying to do better with that, with more of the
Yeah.
young talent. You know, like
I
more of them.
Yeah, I think that separates some of the guys. I think that's also what makes Swerve feel like a bigger star as well. Because when they send him to do like the appearances outside of the wrestling bubble, when he does mainstream outlets, he feels like a star. He feels like he belongs there. And I think more of their wrestlers need to get into that mindset as well, of wanting to do media and
For
wanting
sure.
to do mainstream appearances.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, definitely not with AEW. Kind of I guess it's kind of circle back round to like the injury crisis. As I guess I would kind of call it a crisis, to be honest, because like I said, some of the injuries have happened far apart, so it doesn't feel like it's been like one landslide, you know. But like, say if it all happened, like say if all these people went down in the space of like 6 weeks, it's like everyone would be saying it's one of the worst injury crises ever. You know, like
Yeah.
again, Osprey, Swerve, Adam Cole, Jay White, Orange Cassidy, Pac, Eddie Kingston, Brian Cage, Buddy Matthews, Mark Davis, etc., 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 etc. I haven't even mentioned any of the women. You know, and yeah, obviously they luckily AEW have a very stacked young roster, you know, and there is moves that they can make. So hopefully they do. I just like, you know what it is, Phil. I'd like to see them do something bold. I like bold. I like bold booking, and again, like you see, obviously Gado can be quite bold, and it's like he hasn't really, like I said, he's lost his fastball in recent years, you know. But it's just like I would like to see Tony just do something like mad bold, and that doesn't mean do something crazy, unexpected out of left field. But
I
it's
mean,
like,
going with Goto was kind of a bold decision, and it worked out. That's what I'm saying with Gato, and I see what you mean. Going with Goto at that time was kind of a bold decision. But
I
I,
mean, it kind of was, but like when you think of how bold Gaudo can be,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, he's done some. He's done some.
when Okada first came through, you know,
Yes,
it's like how that's bold, like, and it worked obviously, and sometimes it can work, and sometimes that's just how you fucking make a star, bro. Like that's how you just take someone to another planet.
yeah.
You know, you
I
just take someone who you really believe in, but hasn't really got the credit in the bank yet, and you just say, "This is the one."
I,
like,
I still think the bold move for AEW this year is to make Megan Bain the one that beats Tony. I still think that's the move.
you know what my thing is with Megan Bay, bro? Her in ring pops too much like a babyface. Her in ring pops too much like a babyface. So like when I watch her, she doesn't really have that many heel tendencies. Like she'll get in there, she'll hit one move, like I don't know, like whatever the first big move will be, you know, and she'll do like the pose with her arms out, and she'll do that, and then she'll do the thing when she's going into the corners, and it's like. Then like even when she does like the flying lariat and stuff like that, and all like a lot of her moves just pop more as a babyface, and it's like she doesn't really have much of a heel game, you know.
Mhm.
But as a talent, she's really promising. She's got a great look. She's good. She's not like she's bad in ring. It's just that I just don't think she's adjusted greatly to being a heel and having like a heel bag, which is obviously I think it's one of the hardest roles to play in ring in wrestling. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I think having a heel bag in the U.S. is different than the heel bag she had in Japan, because I think it's mostly she's still working that kind of style here, so it's a little different. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
yeah, definitely. It's just, and obviously she's young as well, and it's just Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's literally my only reservation with Megan Bain is that I just think she just is in the US at least anyway. She just her moveset, her presence, everything about her just kind of leans towards being a babyface when you actually kind of like really squint your eyes and look at it. Because obviously on the surface, she's a big, she's a big imposing beautiful powerhouse. Like you can see that being a heel very easily. Do you know what I mean? But again,
Yeah.
if you kind of like squint your eyes and look at her performances and stuff, you're like, oh, this is a babyface like trapped in this woman. like,
I still think about her all the time, just like staring at Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa comes in with the chair, and she's like waving the chair around, like "I'm gonna hit you with this," and she's just like, "Whatever," and just like walks out of the ring unfazed, like
that
whatever.
was one of the funniest miscommunications. Why does it always happen to Thunder Rosa, man? she gets done dirt when people like blame her. Like she gets caught up in some of the most bizarre situations in the ring. And she always gets to blame, and it's hardly ever her fault. I'm not saying Thunder Rosa is perfect, but she's like I said again, she finds herself in some hilarious situations in that ring, bro. Like,
Hilarious. Some people sent the questions while in your brief 10 seconds out, and I'm trying to find them because they're not scrolled up. Here we go. Yeah, so Sammy hinted that he has a replacement tag partner in mind for his ROH tag titles. Who do you think it could be, and who do you want it to be? Yeah, because Dustin is injured. He's been
it's double
taking
knee replacement,
Yeah, he's been showing the pictures from his knee surgery recently. So of course, will not be Sons of Texas anymore. Um,
Ross Von Erich.
um, didn't they bring in Hammerstone at one point? Is Hammerstone still?
No one's gonna pop for that though.
But I think putting Hammerstone with Sammy makes sense though. Like if you wanted to put him with somebody, I think that makes sense. I'm trying to think anybody else.
I can't think of anyone because it's like, you don't know with ROH. Like, are they gonna try and do like a cool surprise and pop people, or are they just gonna kind of like put somebody in, you know,
Yeah.
in and around that booking, if that makes sense, you know? Like, are they just gonna fucking put, I don't know, AR Fox? Like, do you know what I mean? Are they just gonna
Yeah,
like
that'd be
put
very
somebody?
random.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just are they just gonna put somebody off the roster with him, or are they actually gonna try and do something cool? You know, like are they gonna try and get? You know, obviously there's a lot of international wrestlers around at the moment, so I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question, though. It's a good question.
yeah, I can't think of anybody. Is Ortiz still injured? Ortiz might make
I
sense.
don't think he is. You know, don't know. I'd have to double check with somebody, but I don't think he is anymore. Ace Austin. Ace Austin's actually not a bad show at all, is it?
You got to get Ace Austin over there. With Bang Bang Gang, in my opinion, I think that makes the most sense. He's an ex Bullet Club guy. He should be over there with those guys.
Yeah, but like for this, it would just be fucking probably one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows, bro?
If you're
Uh,
assuming it's just a one off and they're dropping the belts, maybe.
yeah, man. Did you answer this? How do you feel
I did
about
not.
Queen Aminata? Phil?
I think Queen Aminata is great, and she's another one of those people that Tony clearly likes. He uses her a lot for like the big TV matches, but he still hasn't given her the big win. She still loses a lot, and I don't really get why. I feel like you've got to get to the point where you give her something.
Yeah, she's I can't believe that we're still waiting for that. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
the Queen
wild.
Aminata push, like, bro. I remember watching her in one of Mariah May's like first singles matches in AEW, and thinking Queen Aminata, and I like Mariah May. I'm not one of them people who's like turn on the wall or something. I think she's pretty good. She's a pretty great
Like,
star, to be honest. I think Mariah May's. I like Mariah May. Is my point. But when I was watching her in AEW in one of her first single matches against Queen Aminata, which was a long time ago now. Obviously, Mariah's had a whole run and left, and she's already had a little bit of a run in WWE already. Um, I remember watching that match thinking Aminata was the better half of that match, and thinking
yeah,
she's somebody that definitely needs to be pushed in the very near future. And here
yeah,
we are, like what, 2 years,
yeah.
and
I,
it's still she hasn't even been given a big win. Never mind, and I think she need at this point she needs like a push, like a real push, bro. Like she
yeah,
deserves it, man.
I agree.
So
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could see it early on watching her in Indies that there's just something about her, like her presence. I mean, even when she popped up on SmackDown, and that was kind of her claim to fame for a minute, being in the tag match with the Kabuki Warriors, you could just see it. There was something about her. She has this it factor to her.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm really surprised they haven't pushed her yet. I mean, even Battle Slam, when Battle Slam was a thing, she felt like the most like she felt like this woman has it. Like she felt like the biggest star in Battle Slam sometimes. Like and yeah, it's wild to think she hasn't gotten this push yet. So I'm hoping that's where this Tekla stuff is leading. I don't know, but
it
it
feels like
feels
it's more Declan driven, isn't it? Though. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's more of a vehicle for her than Aminata. So
It yeah, and that's it's kind of wild given the fact that Amanada has been with the company this long. I thought for sure when they announced this interim Ring of Honor television title thing that Amanada was going to win it, and then she wasn't even in the match.
oh, luckily she's way past that point now. She needs something, man. She needs something pretty significant at this point because the longer and longer it goes, it's like, you know, so people it's what people want. I don't know what Tony wants sometimes because it's like he said. It's clear that he likes her because he books her a lot, but he
Yeah,
books her a lot to lose a lot to other people that he's seemingly more interested in that moment. Like we've just the two people we've mentioned, Mariah May and Decla. He's two. And this is nothing against them. They're both great talents, Vekla and Mariah May are. But like again, narratively, it's like they are like his new shiny toys at that moment,
yeah,
you know. And Aminata's just there, just performance after performance after performance after performance, and Yeah, so she needs something, man. But I guess the thing I wanted to talk about was this WWE counter programming. This all this nasty business that's going on. Because I do think it is nasty, to be fair, because I guess my question is like, how much difference does it really make? So obviously the conversation this week has been heavily focused around the announcements this week of like WWE is doing a show called WrestlePalooza, and it will be going directly head to head with AEW All Out, unless AEW do the thing where they move it to more of an afternoon show. Don't know if they'll do that. They may do that because the WrestlePalooza main event is slated to be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. And now, regardless of how any of us or any of our audience feels about Brock Lesnar and not wanting him to be on our TVs, that is a huge like box office match. Do you know what I mean? John Cena in his last year of his career against Brock Lesnar, who hasn't been around in how long's it been now? I feel like 2 years.
Yeah, it's been because
It's been a minute.
yeah, he's been gone since the SummerSlam match, right? SummerSlam 2023.
Yeah, man, he's been
No,
gone a
I'm sorry,
minute, bro.
I'm wrong. He's been gone since the Cody program.
Yeah, he's been gone. He's been gone. Yeah, either way, it's a huge box office match. You know, again, regardless of how our
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we morally feel about it. You know, it's a huge match. It's Cena versus Brock Lesnar, and it's it's the match that they've chosen to go head to head with All Out. So it's very clear that
yeah.
they are.
Okay,
You
so
know,
I did mix that up. It was SummerSlam. That was where the last Cody match was.
yeah. Um, I guess look, how much difference is it really gonna make? Like, say if AEW move their show to the afternoon, it's not gonna give them that much of a hit, and it's
Mm.
kind of like, and I guess to kind of go back a few weeks to like Evolution. Now that wasn't directly head to head with All
Hmm.
In, but it was that weekend, and it took the shine. I guess at the end of the day, all it really did was just took the shine off Evolution. You know,
Yeah,
because it was all in week. It was all in week. Then it was just like, oh, we've got Evolution on Sunday too. You know, um, the NXT shows. Obviously, I know some of those will be in the afternoon and stuff, but there's been a lot of NXT head to head over the years. You know, but yeah, like between like WrestlePalooza, all in weekend that's just gone, and other things that are like seem to be getting announced. It's like it's John Cena's last year, and I'm seeing his matches being used to counter program AEW and shit, and it's like how much difference is it really making, because it's like AEW, they've got their TV deal, bro. They've got the TV deal, they're locked in. Again, the TV ratings that we see on the timeline and stuff isn't the full picture because they've got HBO Max now, but Warner Brothers are obviously clearly very happy with them. I know they're going through a lot of changes with the way they set up their streaming and stuff over the next year, and they're splitting into two, and there's all gonna be all these complications and stuff. But still, rest of Warner Brothers do seem very, very happy with AEW as a product. So it's like, if WWE fucking can't program them and AEW does fucking a few less people watching the show, is it really gonna hurt them? If WWE book a show, because I think we've seen enough examples now that when WWE counter program them, it doesn't kill them.
no,
It just doesn't kill. Like, if WWE could book a pay per view the same weekend as AEW, and AEW is still gonna put out a healthy house. They're still going to get a healthy house. They're still going to get their ticket revenue and stuff like that. People are still going to buy the pay per view. Like, we've seen the evidence of that now, and it's just kind of like, why are WWE still persisting on this? Because I think it just comes off as like, it's not just pay. It just feels pointless to me. I think it's
uh,
pointless at this point. Like, I don't. The only
uh,
time I feel like AEW truly gets hurt is when it's more on them when they don't move a collision on a pay per view on a PLE weekend,
Mhm.
and you'll see that collision will do like fucking 100,000 viewers or something. You know, it'll do some ridiculously low. But obviously, AEW, I think in more recent months have adjusted to that pretty well, where they'll be like, "Oh fuck it, we'll do Collision on Thursday." You know, we'll do yeah, they'll do. We'll get a lot of like Thursday collisions now. Um, so that's kind of like a workaround for that. You know. But on the WWE side, it's not. It's not like have they ever once put on a show and be like, "Oh man, that fucked up AEW." It hasn't happened. And I have no reason to believe it's going to happen. Because the people who are going to watch AEW are going to watch AEW anyway, bro. You know, like you can put your WrestlePalooza or your Evolution or your NXT Heatwave, which is also this Sunday, but it's not going directly head to head, I believe. I think it's in the afternoon, NXT Heatwave is. Um, you're not hurting them. I don't think it's hurting them. And it's just, I think narratively, it doesn't really make them look. I don't think it makes them necessarily look bad because their fans don't care. You know, like WWE fans do not care that they're being petty, counterproductive. They don't care about those things, you know. But they don't exactly look great either when it seemingly does not work what they're trying to do. You know.
Uh yeah, I just think I think there's bits of this that are more insidious than they seem. Because I think you're right. In the short term, I don't think it hurts AEW at all. Because they're different audiences. Their fan base clearly is going to support them no matter what. And you have a sect of the fans that are gonna watch both. And so even if you put the WWE show on at the same time, people are just going to make the decision to go, hey, I'll watch this AEW show if I'm more interested in this now, and maybe watch the WWE show later. Because all of this stuff is on streaming platforms, people are going to watch it when they want to watch it. And so that it doesn't really hurt them in that way either. But the thing where AEW does not beat WWE at is just at the sheer amount of exposure and the media coverage that they're going to get off of these things. And that's why I think some of this is more insidious than it seems. When you're putting your pay-per-view on a platform as big as ESPN, if you're putting another wrestling pay-per-view next to it, it's going to seem like it's smaller scale no matter what, because this is ESPN. This is the biggest purveyor of sports in the world. And so if you have wrestling on ESPN, more people are going to pay attention to the fact that this thing is on ESPN and that there's coverage for it. That doesn't mean that more people are going to watch it. That just means that more people are going to take note to WWE is here. So just the idea of WWE being on ESPN means they're hotter right now. WWE is in a hot period because more people are talking about it. There's a bigger pop culture imprint, and it's on ESPN. And as we saw earlier this week with something like the AEW tab being taken off of ESPN, that's where we are. You're getting more engagement on just covering WWE. And that's the thing that I think, if anything, AEW should be a little concerned about is just making sure that there's more of a market share of the way that media covers AEW in these weekends. Because I don't think it's that WWE wants to put their shows in this weekend to make sure that people don't go to those shows. I think it's to make sure that possibly more people at bigger outlets are talking about WWE.
Media coverage.
And I think that's where they're going with this. And I think that's playing the long game. I don't think that's something that's going to affect AEW in the short run. But I do think the longer this goes on, it can. And I don't think it's something that's going to run AEW out of business. But they know what they're doing. If you have less word of mouth about something like an AEW show this weekend, I mean, just look at it as a podcaster. I went to All in Texas, but if you gave me the choice, I would have tried to go to Evolution. I was one of those guys that was like, they should be doing a follow up to Evolution for the entire time. I've been asking for a follow up to Evolution for 7 years. So I wanted to go, but it just wasn't feasible for me to make the trip to Atlanta after they had already announced it, after I already made plans to go to Texas. So as somebody that would cover both, you're giving media the choice. And a lot of people, because of the way WWE does things, a lot of people that cover these things are gonna choose WWE. And I think AEW did a good job of counteracting that during All In Texas weekend. But we're also talking about All In. This is their biggest show of the year. And so you're not going to have that every time. So maybe if you're going against a card that people aren't as interested in, and you're going against something like this with Brock and Cena on it, and maybe you put like a Punk match or like something else on this card, you're going to get more people that want to go and cover this in person, and that's what they're banking on.
Yeah, it's a kind of like narratively like taking the weekend from them, even if it doesn't hurt the gate or the pay per view buys too much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
I definitely, yeah, I definitely think there is
I
something to that.
and I mean the taking the AEW tab off of ESPN is interesting because you see more and more sites that cover wrestling as a side thing. They don't mainly cover wrestling. They try to give AEW its own thing, but you see more and more of them are consolidating all of their wrestling coverage under one tab. And a lot of times, because when people think wrestling, they think WWE. A lot of casual fans, if you say wrestling, they're going to say WWE. So they're consolidating it all under a tab that says WWE. That might not mean that ESPN is going to stop covering AEW, but again, that's part of, if I go to your website and I can't even find a tab for AEW and it's all under WWE, WWE has a bigger market share. They already do as the industry leader, but this is more of a way to get ahead of these things and get their name promoted first.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think there's definitely something to it. WWE are trying to play chess,
Yeah,
trying to play
I,
chess.
I definitely, and we're in the Nick Khan era. They're not trying to do this as just like a wrestler promoter versus a wrestler promoter. They're trying to beat them at a game that AEW can't play yet. They're in a different market space than AEW. And so they're going to invite big influencers to their shows. They're going to do what Netflix does and have coverage from critics and stuff outside of the wrestling bubble. So you hear more about WWE shows than you do AEW shows.
So I guess like as already mentioned, like AEW have I guess kind of adjusted to dealing with
Mm-hmm.
this and being like I said, like with the collisions, like instead of just fuck it, we'll run it on Saturday anyway. They'll just be like, okay, let's move it to Thursday. You know, because it just makes sense, doesn't it? Like, it's like yeah, like I say, if there's no point running Collision next to a WWE pay per view because Collision's already your second show anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just sending it out there to die, and it did. Like we've seen the results of what when that
Yes.
happens when a PLE goes head to head with Collision. So obviously they're already adjusted by doing a lot more Thursday, a lot more midweek collisions and stuff like that on WWE PLE weekends. Um, but what I like some other things that AEW could do to kind of not even necessarily like counter strike WWE, but to kind of just like take it in stride better when they do this sort of bullshit, you know, like for example, like Dave mentioned in the newsletter, and I've mentioned briefly as well here, like they could just move all out to the afternoon, and it'll probably
Yeah.
be fine, you know. And there's other things like that that they can do to just kind of just be like, well, if I want to play pay, we'll just fucking, you know, we'll stay in our lane. We'll not stay in our lane. We'll focus on what we're doing, and just making sure we get the best out of that, you know. Um, Tony
Yeah.
even mentioned that on the call, didn't he, yesterday? That about basically like, you know, we're gonna worry about what we're doing, you know. And I think that's what AEW fans want. They don't want
Yes.
Tony like fucking running around like a lunatic, like fucking counter booking fucking Raw, doing
Yeah.
random events on a Monday
We,
and shit.
we,
Like,
yeah. We don't need 2022 Tony where he's like responding to a bunch of this stuff on Twitter and like having people
mm,
do the rah rah speeches. I don't think that helps them. I think the best thing they can do right now is continue to run their race and continue to make a good product that people like. Responding to this stuff and trying to bite on all of these shots and bite on all of these attempts to counter program it doesn't help them because no matter how they look, no, it doesn't matter if they're right. It doesn't matter how petty WWE looks. A large part of the audience is going to side with WWE because they have a
Yes,
larger
yeah,
audience,
yeah.
and so it's just what it's going to be. And it just I always hate it like when Tony will respond to these things, even when I agree with him. It always felt like, oh, well, here you go again. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why sometimes it's a lose-lose situation to respond. It's just it's better to
He put
just
himself a lot. Tony over the years has put himself in a lot of those lose situations.
yeah. And so
um,
it is what it is. I think they're taking the best approach and just trying to put on better shows. At the end of the day, AEW is gonna always be niche. I know some people don't want to hear that, but it is. AEW is always going to be a niche product. It's not going to be something for most fans that's on the same level of WWE. Now, in terms of the product of the quality
the
of the
gap was
product,
always too big, wasn't it? Like the gap
yes,
was
it's because
always.
to some people, WWE is always going to be, you know, the biggest company in the world. It's always going to be the major leagues. I don't even like
It's
using
that
that word
global
major.
appeal as well,
It's
though.
just
Like
some people are
it's a
always going to see it that way. And so I don't think that it helps to try to do these kind of things with them, do these kind of pissing matches with them because they're just not going to come out on top in the perception for a lot of people outside of their fan base. And so, yeah, just continue to feed your fan base, continue to get positive buzz around what your show does better than them, and that's going to get more people to watch it. But trying to do this whole arms race with them with media, that's not going to work. And I do think, like I said before, a big thing that's going to help them with their wrestlers is getting more of their wrestlers on mainstream outlets. They have to get on that because that's the thing that I think is going to help them a lot. And I think that's the thing that WWE has over them with a lot of their bigger stars. Like you can send a
what's
Swerve or something, but you got to get more of your guys out to mainstream outlets.
what's like a podcast appearance slash collaboration you'd like to see AEW do? Like fucking I don't know. Oh man, like fucking. I don't know. I don't even watch many like, of the big podcasts now. Like, is Drink Champ still a thing? Like, is that?
Drink Champs, they had a tough go of it after the whole Kanye fiasco, but they're
Yeah,
still a
yeah.
thing. But I mean, like the fact that you could turn on Fallon or
Rory
late
and
night.
Mal.
Yes, I mean they just had Jade on Warrior Mall, so I don't know.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Oh
yeah,
shit.
but I think,
But yeah, things like that, man.
but yeah, I think you gotta like the fact that you can turn on like a late night show like Fallon and WWE wrestlers on there. Like they did a whole angle on there on a late night show, and I think that's part of what WWE has over them at the moment. You got to get more of your wrestlers into that kind of mind space of getting to those outlets, and it's getting there because like you can see with like the way they do their PR, it's different. Um, but I think that's going to help them because I hate that even with like the MAGA stuff and the right wing leaning that WWE is doing, you saw a lot in the election and where politics is. A big part of where we are with the world is who gets out in front and whose narrative is the loudest. And for Trump, at one point, his narrative was very loud. And I think that the same thing is happening with WWE. They're trying to get their narrative out the loudest. They're trying to get their product in more spaces covered by more people, especially outside of wrestling. And ESPN is a big part of that. And if people don't think that's part of this, that's definitely what this is. Like, I mean, even having Jade on Rory and Maul, like jokingly, like that's why they're doing this. That's why Joe was at. That's why Joe was at Raw. That's why Joe has promoted WWE on his podcast. It's to push this point that WWE has a bigger pop culture imprint. I mean, you got Cardi on the show. You've got so many things getting their name outside of just the wrestling bubble. And that's the thing that they're going to continue to bank on over AEW.
Yeah, they do. They do such a good job of it as well. Like I know, like us as fans, and like it has its like creative issues. and like quality of product issues, especially like look at the Netflix debut as an example. But in terms of like just exposure through these sort of collaborations and friendly partnerships and you know invites and you know what I mean special guests, they do it very
Yeah.
well. And AEW have shown in moments where they can play ball like that very well, which like we'd like to see more of it. Like when fuck, what's her name,
Samoa
bro?
Joe on Drink Champs is hilarious, bro. That would be great. Samoa Joe on Drink Champs would be
You remember when
hilarious.
oh fuck, what was the match, bro? When Leslie Jones was in the crowd,
Yeah,
going crazy.
that was the Swerve Ricochet match.
Yeah, like shit like that is like godly because even stuff like that can get clipped. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Leslie
Yeah.
Jones goes mad.
They've got to figure out their YouTube channel too. I think that's part of the
Oh,
thing. Like
fucking.
AEW's YouTube channel should be doing
That's
so much more, man.
It's got worse, I think. I think the clips at the post have got shorter.
Yeah, I think like that's also what WWE banks on as well. That like the most casual fan, that's how they keep up with wrestling. Is just watching clips on YouTube. They don't watch the whole show, and so I think you've got to build more of your audience and build more entrants off of the YouTube as well.
I'm just looking at AEW's. Oh shit! They just uploaded 32 minutes ago Darby Allin versus Shima from 2019.
Yeah, they've been putting more full matches on recently. Like they just put the to catch the
Shit!
bandito match on.
Ago. Yeah, 4 hours ago, full match. Brian Danielson versus Jimmy Rave from 2007 ROH. Now
Yeah,
that's some real shit. There's a lot of ROH on here actually. Claudio versus Petey Williams. But the actual highlights of the show, I'm pretty sure they've got a lot short. Yeah, they have all like 1 minute 57, 1 minute 43, 1 minute 51. And I know that it's pretty obvious that they're trying to play like the YouTube algorithm game and playing like the whole percentage viewed and watch time, and because like the percentage viewed of a video matters a lot now. So if you only put a 1 minute 50 video on, most people are going to watch that all the way through, so you'll have a high percentage.
yeah. The whole
And
YouTube algorithm game is
and they're playing that game, but it's also like you don't have to play just that game of doing short videos. It's like there's still benefit to posting longer videos because there's more watch time on them. It's like there's multiple ways to attack the YouTube algorithm. It seems like AEW's YouTube manager or whoever has like fell into that percentage viewed short videos kind of, I'd call it a trap, especially for a company like an AEW that I think should be putting at least some more extended content of what's currently going on with the product. So
yeah.
they need to sort the YouTube, but the YouTube channel's never been perfect, has it? You know,
No.
like it's always been something that needed addressing and the right person doing the right job on it. So, even like all the social media, like look at WWE's TikTok and shit, bro. Like
Massive. Like I mean,
it's not even
WWE
just the following. It's not even just the following. It's how they attack it, man.
yeah.
It's relentless, bro. You know?
Yeah, they've been doing like the vault and get like they've got their YouTube strategy figured out, and I think that's another thing that AEW's got to figure out. But yeah, now Carol's making the right point because the price point is going to be an issue as well because WWE is going to price their audience out. Like the prices for these shows are absurd, and that's another place where AEW has got to attack it. Like, look, this is a cheaper show. This is what you're
100%.
going to get on our shows. And the crazy thing about them counter producing during All In weekend in particular is that I still believe that Evolution is the best WWE pay-per-view this year. And I think it's the best pay-per-view because it was less of what I haven't enjoyed about all the other WWE pay-per-views. It wasn't the constant ads thrown at us. It was straightforward wrestling. It got straight to the point. It made the matches didn't overstay their welcome. They got in and got out. And like I think if you're WWE and you're gonna push like our pay-per-view started this time and they're shorter, then we should get like straightforward matches. We should get matches and that's it. But it feels like we get like maybe
It's funny.
35-40% of the pay-per-view is matches, and then the rest is all the rest of this stuff that I don't care about.
It's funny how like because Tony used to talk a lot in it about like when people used to ask him at press conferences about the amount of matches on shows and stuff like that, and it would be a bit excessive and blah blah blah. And Tony would always be like, "Well, I want people to get the most for the money, and if people are paying for the pay per view, you can watch. You don't have to watch it all at once and blah 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 blah." Like point. Obviously, the main point he was making is value for money. Like fans are putting down $50 for this pay per view. I want to give them at least 10 matches for that 50. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But of course, just like applying that to the live gates as well. Because I think of it when you're making 185 million a year off your TV deal, how profitable do your live gates really need to be? And they'll still
Yeah.
be profitable because there's still going to be thousands of people that show up. But
Yeah, but you make all of your money off of your TV deal.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well,
it's
a
like,
big bulk of your money off of your TV
yeah,
deal.
but not fucking 80-90% of it, And then you just got like, then they still got the pay per view model, like doing cheap tickets isn't going to kill your pay per view model. And obviously AEW is very reasonably priced compared to WWE these days. But to Phil's point, I do think they could take it a step further to the point where it's like a real selling point. And like you're getting new people just try it out because fuck it, you can get a family ticket for $40 or something.
Yeah.
Like
And I mean,
shit
I
like
think,
that.
yeah, and I think that's where the residencies were such a good idea, because you're doing unique outlets that are unique to your product, and then you're in an outlet where you can afford to charge less, and it doesn't matter. Like you're not relying on trying to fill these places up and trying to fill up a arena. You can fill up something like the ECW building or Aragon Ballroom, and so I think that will work. That works out for them, but you gotta attack this, and you gotta really make your product an alternative, not just in what you provide, but like if this is what this company is going to be, their selling point is going to be our shows are in these big arenas and it's this much money. Then come to this show and it's cheaper, and you're going to get this value for your ticket.
100%. Okay, a couple of super chats. Back 9750 it says you can't sell a product on pricing, then you are a cheap product. I think, bro, it's pro wrestling. Like we're not talking about fucking a designer brand clothing store. Like we're talking about pro wrestling, bro. Which I think inherently back in the day, this is what I mean. Like WWE has like fucked up the game in that sense. You know what I mean? Because like wrestling is meant to be like something you can just go out and do with your family. You're not meant to be thinking about paying hundreds for your ticket prices and stuff like that. You're meant to be able to take your wife, your mom, and fucking 2 kids to a wrestling show. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those, like, and the old ladies in the crowd back in the day at the territories and that. So look at the crowds back in the day in territories, full buildings and stuff, and full arenas all around the country in all these different places and that. It's like they weren't aiming at middle upper class people. It was it was very common people.
It was always lowbrow entertainment.
Wrestling's always and obviously you don't want a fucking rough fucking audience and live audiences and stuff like that. And I'm sure it wouldn't be,
But you want your shows to be accessible. That's the whole point.
Yes, exactly. So I don't think it makes your product cheap because it's like maybe in other industries, but it's like this is pro wrestling, bro. Like. And again, like I'm sure that WWE's like whole kind of the way they've like made wrestling so glossy, over the past 20, 30 years, maybe even longer than that, and the pomp and circumstance and the high production value and da. It's like the idea of being cheap sounds wrong, like how this like super chat would imply, But it's like, bro, pro wrestling is meant to be accessible and I guess quote unquote cheap. Like it's supposed to be like that's what it was built on, bro. It was built on like everyday families and fucking that sort of shit. So I think making it more, especially when the world is the way it is and the economy, whether that be in the US or the UK, like everyday people are struggling, bro. Everyday people are struggling to be able to afford to go to a baseball game, a fucking NBA game, a fucking NFL game, fucking WWE show. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, having options like that, having options like this is unquestionably, undeniably, in my opinion, at least, a good
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, I don't think that you have to totally lean on the pricing point as a selling point, but I do think it should be a selling point that our shows are more affordable.
Yeah, and they are anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, just, again, like, it's one of the main things that can differentiate them. You know. So yeah, man. Look, again, I don't think they should be plastering it on their posters and stuff. And I'm not saying that it's not accessible as it is, because AEW, as I've already said, they're seeing, for the most part, have pretty fair ticket pricing. You know, especially in this day and age with WWE doing what they're fucking doing, criminals. But you know, Leron Ford, $5. With so many people in AEW out, I'd like to see them feature the women more. 100%. Phil definitely touched on that as well. But yeah, I think you're right. I think obviously with the injuries, and I guess even I was at like at fault of this with the way that like I kind of worded it, bringing it up. It's like you do tend to just naturally think, oh well, with Will Ospreay, Swerve, and Jay White and Orange Cassidy out, it's like what other men's singles wrestlers can replace that void? Where really it's like, well, you know, Tony could do more stuff. Chris and Willow could finally get their fucking proper pushes that we wanted. You know, the tag team division could potentially do this or that. You know, but to the point of the women's division, yeah, 100%, bro. There's women in that division that could either do with more time, or even the women that do get time, they could do even more. Like, bro, I'd happily see a bit more Tony Storm. Fuck it. I think she's great. Like, I'm fully on board with Tony Storm in 2025, man.
Yep.
So yeah, I think Tony's one of the biggest stars in the whole promotion, man or woman, straight up.
For sure.
Doesn't I think you can make an argument she's in like the top three.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah, so am I, man.
Seriously. Top three, for sure.
Top three. Because I'm thinking it's like MJF is always a bona fide. Like MJF always draws well. You know, he's been drawing well with Hangman. He always draws well. Hangman obviously is their top guy at the moment, but he's never really been like the draw. And hopefully, I think this reign can solidify him as at least being able to like hold his own in that conversation. Mox is Mox.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I think Tony's the biggest in that women. I think Tony's bigger than Mercedes in 2025. To be honest.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Then it's like, besides like MJF, Mox.
There's some guys that just still have like that WWE star level on them. That's why like when you see things like Adam Cole in Mexico, Adam Cole's gonna get that reception because he just still has the exposure of being a WWE guy at one point. And that the Copeland's the same way. I don't care where you go, Copeland's gonna get a massive pop. Like there's just a difference. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a difference between Copeland's like star power and certain AEW guys.
Yeah, but Copeland's never drew shit.
Yeah,
but actually, that's a lie. AEW in Canada, he's got a pretty decent record so far with them, you know, and I'm sure he'll do well with All Out as well when he gets a big match on that. But,
yeah,
I think Edge is more like a familiar to a large audience rather than being like an actual fucking, you know what I mean, like a money drawing star, if that makes sense. Whereas I think, like, obviously, like this Tony's current run, like she's a fucking star, bro. You know, she could, you know, have a main event at pay per view, and you'll see that she can draw money as well. You know, it's just about obviously having the opportunities to prove that she can draw money. Obviously, she does. She draws well TV wise, etc., etc. But she draws really well social media wise, blah 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 blah. She's a great, you know, I was just talking about sending people out to do media, and that I've always thought that they could, even though they do send Tony out to do stuff, I think they could have done a lot more. Like I feel like
they could do so much more.
Yeah, Tony can like transcend wrestling, you know.
Yeah,
like she's
easily.
She could go viral without people knowing she's even a fucking wrestler. Like she's one of those people, you know. So yeah, Tony's a special star that they've got, and they've
Like, yeah, I mean, like, why hasn't Tony done like hot ones and stuff like that at this point? Like, she should be
yeah,
doing more stuff like that.
100%. That's what I mean, and it would just be gold as well. Like it's just she's even just like doing more collabs with, I don't know, like TikTok influencers and shit, because that's just what fucking works now, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
all we get is I don't know. How many appearances has Tony had on the Rizzler's channel? on the Rizzler's TikTok page. But yeah, man. Shout out Tony Storm. I think she's phenomenal. But yeah, WWE counter programming Forbidden Doors this weekend, and there's been a lot of conversation about New Japan in general, just kind of their current state. What benefit is this relationship? How could they do it better? And I think kind of the things we mentioned, like the timing thing has been an issue this year. Hopefully that's like something that they're a bit more ahead of going forwards,
Yeah.
And I guess kind of a lot of the problems on the New Japan side of things are just kind of like, what do we do with this current set of players that we've got to elevate at least the top end of it, And how can they kind of leverage the partnership with AEW to, potentially do something with like an Okada or fucking Osprey or even like Jay White, because obviously Jay White he isn't in the position, even when he's around, he's not in the position with the AEW fans as like an Okada or an Osprey. Like Jay White could 100% go back to New Japan and do like a heel run. Now, would that hit the same as like an Okada? No, but it's
Yeah.
fucking something, bro. And they've got not a lot going on over there. Do you know what I mean? So, as
Yeah.
much as fucking our brother Ash would fucking hate that because he's not a Jay White fan at all, But
Yeah, I mean, they've got a ton of options that way. Yeah, but I mean,
is Okada
also
a big draw in the West? No, obviously not. Man,
no, he just doesn't have the same.
it's
He
not.
doesn't
Yeah,
have he doesn't have the same recognizable like push that he had in Japan. Like it's still, that's why I'm like, there's so many things about the AEW product. It's just always going to be niche, man. And I'm fine with that, but I think some people want to compare these things so much, and I just don't think they're comparable.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're doing
Uh,
two very different things. They're two very different products.
Carol, Monty, you think Giovanni's taking about a heat wave, bro? I'll be completely honest with you. I haven't watched NXT in like 3 weeks, so my thing when this was first bubbling, like Javon may be facing over a heat wave, was the way that they were building up Javon. It didn't feel like they were building up Javon for like his big crowning moment. But obviously, in the past few weeks, that could have drastically changed. Like he's just beat Trick Williams. That's a
Mhm.
big win for him in his
Yeah.
like NXT journey. That's a huge win for him beating Trick. So maybe they are putting together that story for it to culminate this weekend, and he beats Obafemi, and Obafemi potentially moves onto the main roster, because I think having him linger around in NXT would be like, not booking malpractice, but like I'd be mad about it. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
um,
yeah. Oba's in a tricky
Oba's
situation
special.
with because he's. I think you've got to cross what makes him special at this point. I just there aren't there isn't anybody down there for him to work, and I think that's why they're doing the Javon match, because they don't have anybody else for him to work. Like when you think about it, who else is there? Like you're not going to do the trick match again. You've already done it. Like you're going to do a Ricky match. Like and Ricky's in
Yeah,
the same spot. Ricky
yeah,
has nobody to work. There's nobody.
yeah.
The men's
Ricky
division
should
on
Ricky.
NXT is in a
I remember
drastic stage, man.
about a month ago or so, when before I fully like stopped watching weekly. I remember just kind of getting like agitated watching it, because, and obviously it's nothing against the talent. If anything, it's a compliment to the talent that they've got down there. But it's just like every other segment, I'd see someone and I'd be like, how and why are you still here? Whether that's whether that's JC, I know she's champ now and she's run of it. This is the most she's ever been pushed and highlighted. Blah blah blah. It's just like JC Jones been ready for the main roster for fucking ages. Fallon Henley's been ready for the main roster for fucking ages. Ricky Starks and Ethan Page never truly needed to go to NXT in the first place.
No.
But I get how they ended up there. But now you're taking the piss. How the fuck is Wesley still in NXT? The way that they've cut that guy's balls off is fucking crazy. He got injured, comes back, like, bro. Just anyway.
I honestly don't think they ever should have turned him either.
Bro, it's one of the worst castings in the business.
I don't think
Like,
they ever should have turned him. He's such a likable guy, man.
Yeah, exactly. His moveset, everything, bro. So I think it's one of the worst castings.
Yeah.
In the business, like literally, it's like Jack Perry as a heel levels to me. Like it's just complete, like the wrong person playing the wrong role, and it's a shame because both. I think Jack Perry's a very talented kid. Wesley is a very talented guy, but when you frame them like that, it's
a mistake.
Yeah, it's like turn the TV off level shit.
But yeah, I think the men's division down there is not good. I think like there's so many guys that have the potential to be better. And when I say not good, I don't want to make it seem like there's no talent down there in the men's division. There is, but I mean in terms of like guys that you could put that main belt on today. There's probably like 2.
I also got sick of like Shawn Michaels getting away with it. Nah, for real though, bro, this guy, Shawn Michaels, how bad Shawn Michaels is as a booker, flies mad under radar. Like, okay, most people who weird classes like your normal wrestling fans on I guess like on wrestling Twitter, a bit hardcore, whatever, like it just flies under the radar because most normal people don't fucking watch NXT every week.
Yes.
Like that. So not a lot of the people who would normally be critical or pick out these holes in booking aren't even watching NXT. It's just like fucking people who just kind of watch it with the brain turned off. Even I would watch it with my brain turned off because it's like you can't watch NXT nitpicking because you'll drive yourself insane. You'll last about 15 minutes.
I mean, a lot of the audience is WWE
Sean's
fans
booking
anyway.
is so creatively bankrupt for like for a while, bro. But I think Triple H stinking it up has helped it go under the radar even more. Because I think Sean's bad. Sean is bad, man. But he gets away with it because I think a lot of people just see it as like, oh well, that's NXT. They do weird shit over the and of course NXT would do that. But I just mean as in like where certain people are in pushes and certain directions of people. Even if you can look past the silliness and the bright colours and the shitty acting and the weird whatever they do on NXT, even looking past that very off-putting stuff, the direction of some of the talent or where the placement is of some people just makes no fucking sense, bro. So I think Sean, how bad of a booker Sean has been over the past 18 months or so, because remember he was getting a lot of praise like in the start of last year. But the past 18 months, I think he's been awful, and I think Triple H is the worst right now he's ever been. I still think Sean's comfortably below him, like comfortably. So that's where I'm at. Look, WWE's bookers right now, and the other bookers fucking Road Dogg. So like that, those are the WWE, bookers that we're subjected to in 2025.
Yeah, I don't watch NXT regularly. I just refuse. I do not talk about it on Grab City. Grab City is not a review show anyway, and thank God, because I could not review NXT every week. I just could not do it. I try very much to not talk about wrestling that I don't enjoy very much. I don't enjoy NXT. I haven't enjoyed NXT in a long time, and so I just don't watch it. I don't watch it, and I just don't talk about it. That's where I'm at with it.
Anytime I've thought about like. Because obviously, like, when you do wrestling content, there is an idea of, like, sometimes I do kind of go through phases where I'm like, oh, what if we just, like, do a stream for, like, every show? If that makes sense. Like, obviously, they don't do it now, but Ibu used to do, like, the Raw review on Tuesdays. And it's like, I know, I'm sure. Like, I know Rob would probably be down for it as well. It's like me and Rob could bullshit our way through an NXT stream on Wednesday afternoons. Like we could
Yeah.
do that, you know. But then I watch NXT, and I'm like, I'm not caught. Like, no, like,
No,
no, I can't do it,
no,
man.
I couldn't do it. That sounds awful. Yeah, no, Mikey V. I'm sure some people would rather us just spend the first half hour reviewing albums instead of talking about NXT. Yeah, you're never gonna get an NXT review show from me unless it's gonna be like a
Fuck
retrospect.
NXT. It's like fuck NXT. We got this chance to rapper albums to review.
Oh man,
Hey man, but yo, talking of podcasts and all that, I think we should probably wrap this one up. This is probably honestly, it's probably the worst time podcast I've ever done. Straight up, like in terms of like starting off, start of the stream, everyone's like, "Why are you going head to head with Mercedes on Rev Pro?" And it's like, to most people that wouldn't mean shit because it's fucking Rev Pro, but I just know to our audience, like a good few of our audience are locked into that. And then we come out of the Mercedes match and we go straight head to head with SmackDown as well, which I wasn't anticipating. So basically, I'm washed. I'm fully, when it comes to programming and scheduling podcasts, like I'm fully washed. You know, I'm gonna get better at it though. But this little combination between me and Phil will be something you'll see a bit more of. There'll be some more I'll do some more of a proper announcement. Probably on the Recipes Twitter page. Probably would have done it on this show if it wasn't so poorly timed. If that makes sense, and we had like a bigger audience here. Massively appreciate the people that have stuck with us. We have floated around about 100 live viewers. Yes, GMB. I was scrolling up, bro, and I couldn't find it. What was it? Can you just send it again, please? Your super chat, because I know it was there. And then when when my microphone was playing up and I went out and came back in, it wasn't there anymore, and I thought I was going crazy. So yeah, GMB. Let me know. Let me know what your name. Because I do want to get to that because you did send us a little $2 or whatever. I do. Oh yeah, Trick Williams is in his Hollywood rock bag. It's been hella entertaining. Yeah, I you know me, bro. Like I'm a Trick Williams believer, man. Big believer of Trick Williams. I think he's got too much star presence. He's too likable. He's too funny. He's got too much charisma to fail. And granted, the height of his like potential is like, the world is his oyster. Do you know what I mean? Like he could be WrestleMania main events, biggest star in the business, blah blah blah. Like that's the absolute peak of like his potential. But even if he doesn't get the in ring to where most of us would like him to get it to, it's like he's good enough to be on TV, and all those other
yeah,
things that I mentioned are going to help him massively, and he's going to get over, and the WWE audience is going to love him, and it's going to work out for him. It's just a matter of like, will he be a guy that sticks around and people like, or will he be one of the biggest stars on the planet? Like that. Those are kind of. I don't see it being a thing. It's like, oh, he gets released in 18 months. Like that's not happening, bro. Like it's just. Yeah, I think Trick's pretty much a sure thing, man. Where do you find yourself on the? I know you don't watch NXT really, but I'm sure you kind of obviously everyone's familiar with Trick Williams, and it, but
yeah. I
where.
think he's a very entertaining guy. I've always felt like he's the guy that they really want to push. Um, because he fits all their aesthetics over there. He's
Yeah.
tall, he's got the look and everything. Like Mello is art. Mello is our kind of guy. He's a sicko guy. He's a flippy indie wrestler guy. That's not who they want to push over there. They want to push their guy that they built from the ground up. And so I've always felt like they want to push him forward. And he just is very naturally entertaining. He's very funny. Um, I think he's got a lot of the stuff that you want him to have. He passes the eye test. People that want him to be this great in-ring talent, I just don't think that he needs to be that. I don't think that's ever been his appeal. And I hate that the internet has kind of pushed this idea that everybody has to be this amazing, undeniable in-ring talent to be in wrestling. That's just you don't. That's never been the case, like
No,
ever.
literally never, bro. Trick Williams. could go the rest of his career without seeing 3 stars ever again, and he'd do fine.
Yeah.
Like he'd do
Yeah,
absolutely fine.
every time we have the Jade discourse, I think the same thing. I'm like, Jade is
Same, bro.
never gonna
Same,
be this
same.
great wrestler that you guys like. She's never gonna be this 5-star wrestler, man, and she doesn't have to be, man.
Yeah, so when you've got such advantages in other departments, you know, and it's not an excuse to be shit in ring or anything. But when you look at Trick and Jade, it's like they're just stars, bro. You know,
Yeah,
it's like they have such big strengths that all these other people that are twice, 10 times better than them in
yeah,
the ring have, but they don't have what they have. Especially with Jade, like Jade's so unique. You know, like Jade looks straight out of a fucking comic book. You know, and that alone is so valuable to a company like WWE. Literally just that alone is so valuable. And you know, we've already just spoke about Trick. Like he's so like, you know, he's so charismatic. He's so entertaining. He has a great sense of humor. He's got a great look. He's tall. He's got everything, literally everything you could ask for going for him, other than the fact that he's not a super well polished 10-year vet in the ring. You know, like
yeah.
um,
I
he's
mean,
athletic and he can have a match, but he's not gonna like blow you away with his intensity in the ring. Like he's not that guy. So
yeah. The better wrestler of the two is on the main roster, and they're not pushing this guy like we think he should because they don't value that over there, man. They they value moments. They value guys like Trick that you're going to be able to put on TV, and you're going to
oh,
be
bro,
able
what
to. Yeah, they're not gonna.
the
Yeah,
the Wyatt Six are the current tag team champs, whilst
yeah,
the division itself has got some of the best work rate has the best work rate of the entire company.
yeah.
So that's kind of where WWE is at.
I
Like,
mean, if this was all, if this was the case, and we're talking about okay, he has all the rest of these things, and he can wrestle. Okay, why isn't Montez pushed then? Because Montez has all of these things and more, and he wrestles very well, and they still don't push him. So yeah,
yeah. It can't even be because they've got big plans for the Street Profits because they hardly get pushed either. So you
yeah.
know, Motor City Machine Gun, the jobbers on SmackDown.
What
Yeah,
happened to Pretty Deadly? I think about that every time I think about SmackDown. Like, why? What are they doing with those guys?
I don't know.
I
I
don't-
don't know. I don't need to dig either. I think didn't one of them get injured?
yeah, but they're both healthy now.
Okay, okay.
They've been healthy for a
Yeah, I don't
while.
know, man. I don't think I feel like there's not that much demand for him anyway, to be honest. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of tag teams in the There's a lot of tag teams in the mix on SmackDown at the moment. So I feel like they've kind of like got their core 4 or 5 teams that they're rotating through, which is like DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, the Wyatts, the Profits, Andrade, Phoenix. There's probably another one that I'm missing as well. But they've got their little crop that they're guess
Yeah.
rotating through at the moment. But yeah, anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, yeah, okay. So like I said, you are going to be seeing a lot more of this little combo. Like I said, this stream has probably been the worst time stream I've ever done on the show. And it's a shame because I feel like we've had a good convo. We've had like some good discussions that I've genuinely wanted to have. So like I've enjoyed myself. I hope the people in the live chat, like I said, we floated around 190 people for a lot of this. We did deep as low as like 60 people and shit like that. But like I said, timing was off today. Would never normally openly choose to go against a Mercedes Moné title match, which then goes straight into SmackDown. So obviously, hopefully that don't happen every week. But so you're going to see a lot more of this duo going forwards. I'll do some proper announcements regarding the WrestlePurious schedule for September very shortly because I'm working on some other stuff as well. Not too much I can give away, although I wouldn't mind giving you guys something since this is a small house. AEW related to you guys who have been on you guys who have been subscribed to the channel for a while would know that we used to do like the AEW show on Thursdays. Like we'd do the review show. Like it had Ibu on it to start with, and then like Joe. We had at one point it was like Ibu, Joe, AO. Like we had like the All Stars doing Dynamite reviews. Obviously that's chopped and changed over the years, and we don't do it nearly consistently enough now. The Dynamite review itself as like an AEW Dynamite stream isn't coming back like that, but something AEW related for Thursdays is coming. So I'll give you guys that, since it's like I said, it's a small house. So an AEW show on Thursdays is coming back, hopefully at some point in September. Myself and Phil are going to be doing some more stuff as well. And there's a few other things that I want to add to our schedule on top of, like, because obviously you guys know that, like, EB does these like 2 usual shows, and we're gonna add like a lot more to that. Like obviously me and Joe do our show as well, and blah 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 blah. So, yeah, man. Good shit coming, more conversations coming. I'm putting my wrestling boots back on as well, because some of you guys might have noticed I have not been streaming much at all this year, to be fair. So I'm starting to get warmed up again. Hopefully less mistakes like today's timing issue. But like I said again, I've enjoyed myself, man. I've had a good convo with my with brother Phil. And you've got Grapsody tomorrow, Phil. What you and Reg got going on over there? You got any idea, or you're just gonna call it in the ring?
I mean, we've got to get into this G1 finals. We haven't not talked about that, so we'll talk about that. Sure, we'll get into some Forbidden Door talk as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Forbidden Door. They call it in the ring, You got the other stuff. You guys know what they're going to talk about, because it's the biggest shit going on, So yeah, man. Grapsody tomorrow at 1 Eastern. What time do you?
It's noon Eastern. Eastern.
See, nearly though.
Yeah.
Noon Eastern for Grapsody on the Fight. Yeah, on the Fightful channel, ain't it? You don't do it on the.
Yeah, we do. We still do Grapsody on Fightful's YouTube channel. Have our own YouTube channel now where we've been putting our interviews and some of our other content. If you don't want to watch our entire podcast, I put clips and stuff on there from the podcast as well. Yeah, that's youtube.com/@Grapsody.
Yeah, man. So get following the Grapsody channel, trying to build that up with the clips and interviews and stuff like that. Then obviously for the weekly stream, you guys need to get onto the Fightful channel, which I'm sure a lot of you already are very familiar with. And you do Ask Grapsody as well every now and again, don't you, on the Fightful Select channel? So, yeah, man, you're always keeping it working. So make sure you tapped in with Phil and Reg tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. Fuck it, this is small enough. I hope I'm not blowing up the spot, but I know the Self-Made guys are planning to do something post Forbidden Door, so you guys can look forward to that as well. Hopefully I haven't just spoiled that for them, but fuck it, there's only 80 people in here.
Oh, come on, big stars over there, man. You can't be just giving away their secrets. Big stars.
I was trying to book something with them in it, so fuck them. I wanted to do something Sunday. I wanted to do something Sunday, but I can't because I'm already plotting something over there. So, yeah, man, support. You know what the deal is already, man. Support Grapsody, support Late Night Grin. The Tokyo tape dropped yesterday. That is one of my favorite pieces of wrestling content that's dropped this year, to be honest. Which is basically, if you don't know, you've kind of been. I guess our audience 100% knows, but fucking if you don't, Joe has been ranting and raving for ages, probably years at this point, about a 2019 Tokyo House Show match in WWE between FTR and the Good Brothers, which was legend has it, was very good. Seth Rollins tweeted whilst it was going on, like, the boys are tearing it up right now, and there was just like a bunch of stories that came from the match as well. But the match itself was never released, and it was just kind of this legend. So Joe managed to pull some strings and get interviews with Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, all 4 of them, and just talked about the match itself, the situation leading into the match, the situation coming out of the match, where WWE and where they, because both teams were in very interesting contract situations at that time. So even just that part of it is such a good like listen, you know. Then obviously hearing
Yeah.
them talk about the match itself, but I'd say like the real selling point is kind of how interesting both teams' positions were in the business at that time, because it's like the Good Brothers were like one of the most in-demand tag teams on the planet. Like WWE were off making them offers. Tony was talking to them. I'm sure New Japan would have loved to have had them. Like TNA made them an offer, and then FTR were like WWE was trying to keep them, but they were like letting a deal run out. And then there was like they managed to get kind of like a interesting release because of certain trademarks that they had, so they didn't
Yeah.
have to do the 30 or 90 days as well. So it's like a lot of stuff was going on. Then like my favorite part is the Good Brothers talking about their negotiations with Triple H when he convinces them to stay. It's just like, you need to watch it, man. It's good shit, and obviously it's Late Night Green and it's Hulbert, and you know we need, and hopefully the WWE Vault does post a Tokyo tape, because it's the same show that Triple H wrestles his last match on. So there's a chance that they just upload that full show, you know. So I think that's the actual dream outcome of this, is that WWE Vault uploads that full show and we get to watch that actual match. Gallows is also concussed in that match as well. That's a big part of it. But yeah, man, support Late Night Green, support Self-Made, support Grapsody, and of course support Wrestle Purist. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate the couple super chats we got. I will try to do better regarding timing, because even though obviously it's not the greatest on our point of view as our audience, I'm sure it's not the best for you either. So we'll do better with that. Anything else, Phil?
That's all I got. That's all I got, man.
That's all we got. So I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Hope you guys enjoy Forbidden Door, Heatwave, or anything else that you choose to watch. And we will see you. Well, the guys will see you on the Self-Made channel on Sunday, and we'll see you on Monday for Worldwide. Peace.